How you doing, Mohammed?
Yeah, alhamdulillah, good.
Everything good?
Yeah, alhamdulillah. About one day we were just talking about the story of Adam alayhi salam and Hawa. And he's, oh yeah, but dad, sometimes some families can have two moms, I was like, okay, where'd you learn that? You needed to move. We need to move ASAP.
People don't realize teaching has actually been a way to move to the Middle East for many years now. People underestimate how easy it is to get jobs here with being a British citizen.
I want to be able to dictate the age at when he gets exposed to that. And just because I choose something different than you do doesn't mean that, I hate you. It's just, that's my child.
A travel allowance sometimes.
Yep.
You get an accommodation allowance, also you get your salary.
Yep.
What else do you get?
You will get student tuition, but the standard is 2 children free. That's
As
what you'll get.
You can put your child in your own school at a discount.
Premium schools, they'll offer you a very, very good housing allowance. So one of the biggest things I'll tell teachers, if you've already taught in the UK, one of the biggest things that you need to be aware of is...
Alhamdulillah, assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to another episode of The Road to Hijrah, the show where I aim to inspire you to do Hijrah and also show you how to do it. I'm extremely excited because today's episode might just be the best one yet. My guest brother Muhammad was a teacher for over 10 years in the UK before moving to the UAE 3 years ago after getting a job as a teacher. In this episode, we discuss life as a family in the UAE. He's got 3 children of his own, the cost and quality of education, and importantly, everything you need to know as a teacher to move here to the UAE. Guys, if you're serious about making hijrah, wallahi, it would be a travesty if you did not watch this video all the way from the beginning to the end. I know it's 2 hours long. I know many of you guys have brain rot from TikTok and Instagram, etc. Short form content. Guys, please make it to the end of this video. You will not regret it. With that said, let's get straight into the apartment tour. And even the apartment tour and area tour of this particular episode is the best yet. So much information, so much detail, so much benefit. Wasl Green Park, that's the area that we're going to be starting in. With that said, let's get straight into the video, inshallah. How you doing, Mohammed?
Yeah, alhamdulillah, good.
Everything good?
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, man.
So this is my humble abode. This is a 3-bed plus maid.
3-bed plus maid?
Yeah.
Mashallah.
Let's see, shoes off please, yeah?
If you don't mind me asking, you got a big family?
So we've got three kids.
3 kids, Allah.
And 2 boys and a girl. Okay. So over here behind us is the kitchen. So as soon as you walk in, right hand side kitchen. Very simple, but it does the job for us. But it's got a lot of storage as well, yeah?
Okay, nice.
And then when you move into here, most of our furniture is IKEA, yeah? So it does the job, man. And then this is the main living room. Nice space for the kids.
Mashallah, very nice.
Yeah, we've got
very
a big sofa
large
for the kids so they can relax. And then this is the dining area for all our storage here as well. And but the ceilings are a lot higher as well.
How old are your kids, if you don't mind me asking?
They are 8 years old, 4 and 1, man. You're going to put me on the spot. Yeah. And so we have our first toilet over here.
Okay, so this is the guest bathroom?
Yeah, this would be the guest bathroom.
Oh, it's got a full shower in there as well?
Yeah, shower in there as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Allahumma barik.
And we'll go to that room later. Let's go to this room. This is the kids' bedroom.
Okay.
Still a lot of space. We've got like a double at the bottom and a single at the top.
Okay.
Then all that storage over there. The storage under the staircase as well.
Mashallah.
Yeah, but a good space for them to just chill and relax.
Yeah, it's a nice sized bunk bed, man.
Yeah, and the ceilings are good. And the reason why I mentioned ceilings because I lived somewhere else before, and the ceilings were literally just
very low,
like very, very low, and it just made a big difference for us.
Yeah.
Little bit of storage here. Usually you'll get something like this where you can just put all the stuff here, and we just try to make the most of our space as well. This is my study. Yeah, this is what I've tried to do all this myself. So for those people that are like into your audiology, it might make no sense because after I did my research, I realized they don't really do much. Yeah, but these probably do a lot more. Yeah, but it was up anyway. And
it's funny. I was looking to something similar for my office in my room as well.
Yeah, so this probably better. That was it's just there. No one can see it, so it's okay. And I got the recording set up over here.
So do you do much recording for your channel?
Yeah. So this is what I'll do, like my voiceovers and stuff. I'll do that over here if I need to.
Home office.
Then I've got my calendar here, which I made. It helps me like visually understand what's happening, and I have my 1-year goal over here as well. Okay. And then just a little bit of decorations over here. There's another toilet over here. This is meant to be like a maid's room, but obviously because our maid is live out. Then I've just used it as a study, and there's a toilet in here as well, but no one really uses that as well. Yeah. So master bedroom over here. still a lot of space. You'll see that it's like a lot of dead space because
Huge.
we lived in a lot of smaller place before, so we've not really filled it out yet, but it does the job.
So did you get this because of your job? Or?
So there were different reasons for it. The first was the prices in Town Square were going very, very high. Secondly, the distance to work was very, very far. It's about 40 minutes sometimes. And getting out of Town Square, it just took us too long. Whereas here, this is literally door to door for the kids' school, and my wife works in that same school. It's about 7 minutes, door to door. Okay. Yeah, and we don't even need to rent a car. We can just get a driver, and he'll take us back and forth whenever we want. And for me, it's about 10 minutes, 12 minutes. Whereas before, it's 40 minutes.
And do you pay out of pocket yourself, or does the school give you?
So the school gives you an allowance, but we have to add on top of that to get what we want here. So in terms of like, let me show you around. I'll show you. We'll talk numbers as well. This is the toilet over here again.
Very nice. Oh, so you got a full size one.
Yeah, this is full size over here, and then this is all storage as well. So this is like, and every cupboard is like the same type of space.
I'm yet to see an apartment here in the UAE that doesn't have built-in wardrobes.
Yeah, that's the thing.
They all have.
Yeah, and it makes it a lot easier. Yeah. So this is the guest room. This is usually empty. We've got one of these beds. Everyone will probably see something similar where you pull it out when guests come. But we don't really do much with this. But when guests come over, which they do regularly, we'll give them all the space and all the storage
as well. I guess,
100%, the storage and stuff. So that is everything in terms of the house.
Yeah.
You get amenities here close by, so we can have a little walk if you want and just look at the park. The mosque is close by, walking distance.
Perfect.
Pool and everything is here as well. Yeah, alhamdulillah. So one of the good things about this place is, so in terms of rent, I actually checked the prices today morning, and we paid significantly less than what it is now. So we're paying about, and actually the check just came out. So we do checks here, yeah, and I'm sure everyone's familiar with it. So we pay checks of 23,000 dirhams every 3 months.
So you pay 4 checks a year?
Yeah, so 4 checks. It's about 96,000. In Town Square, we were paying 90, and we were getting about 1,200 square feet. Whereas here, this is 2,500. Like the whole, and there's a balcony that I didn't show you. Double. It's in the center of Dubai. It's not too far. The airport's 10 minutes. Meridian City Center. It's about 10 minutes as well. So everything's quite close by. We have security here, obviously. So what you're getting for your money is significantly better. Even though Town Square is significantly better in terms of the community is amazing. We lived in a place called Hayat Boulevard, and I'm sure you went somewhere similar.
That's where on the first episode.
And the best thing there was that the mosque is just opposite. So as soon as you hear adhan, you can maybe like 2 minutes before salah, you just walk across and you're there for the first rakat. And the brothers there are great as well. But if I didn't have to move, I would have moved. But it's just the distance is far.
Okay.
But what happened was, and this is something that won't happen here, is that that the tenants wanted to move, the landlord wanted to move into that property. So after 2 years.
Okay. And
then therefore they gave us a 12-month. They did everything by the book and said, look, you need to move out, etc. And then we had to move. Whereas here, this is government owned. Everything in Wasl is government owned, meaning that no one's really going to kick you out.
Okay.
And they're quite good with increasing rent. Whereas your old landlord, every year, whatever he could increase it with in terms of the legal, there's like an index.
There's a real
that's it. Yeah. And they'll always go by that.
Okay.
Yeah, whereas here, they don't really. So my mate's been here for about 3 years now, and they've not increased it once.
Okay.
Yeah, and they're a bit more lenient in some buildings where you can just pay monthly if you wanted to.
So how does a person know if a place is government owned or private?
I think it's just the company. So here I would write Wasl Leasing. There's on Google, and then you'll come up on the first website that's there. It says Wasl, and then they've got communities all around Dubai. So wherever you want to live, you just write that community down. And even here, I checked today, there's a 2 and a 3 bed available here. And I've got the prices as well. So you could like literally just rent it out. So that's quite good as well.
Is it a family friendly area?
Yeah. So this is like, you'll see all families outside over here when it gets a bit cooler. It's a bit hot right now. But the best thing here also is if there's any issues at all in your apartment, let's say even the light goes out. There's an app here, press a button, probably within the next hour or so, someone will come and fix it, free of charge.
So maintenance.
Maintenance is amazing. Yeah. Like if the AC is playing up a bit, or maybe the shower isn't draining, anything, you just put it on your app, and then by the next day, someone comes and fixes it, and usually it doesn't charge you unless you want to do something extra. Then they will. But for most things, they'll return it back to the way it should be. Okay. Whereas if you're renting somewhere else, then what happens?
Private landlord.
Yeah. Then you if it's over a certain amount of dirhams, and that's in your contract, usually it's about 500 dirhams or so, then you have to cover that. And if it's more than 500, then I don't know the number. That depends on your contract. But here it doesn't matter. Even if it's 10, they'll cover it.
Okay. Nice.
Parks here is great, so the kids will come with their bikes and they'll play around over here.
Okay.
They didn't get a
Obviously, you
chance.
don't have to worry about your child.
Yeah, no, nothing at all.
kidnapped.
Yeah. And a lot,
crazy
like a few of my friends live literally opposite the park, so
Okay.
they can always have a
Did
look
you make
over.
those friends after moving here, or you already?
So I play a lot of football. So one of my mates, he actually lives here, and then he's trying to convince me. I was trying to convince him to move to Town Square, and he was trying to convince me to move here. And after a while, we just realised that it was too far for work, so we decided to actually move here. And every few months, they open up a new building. And once one building is full, then they move on to the next one and the next one.
Okay.
And therefore, there will always be buildings opened up. But you'll see a lot of these buildings, they're completely empty. But they don't want to open a new one until an old one is sorted. So this is actually the park.
That's the park there.
And over there is the gym and swim pool over there. Tuesdays and Thursdays is like women only. So there's certain hours of the day, so only women are allowed. So there's security there. And there's like female security as well. So they'll make sure that sisters want to just go and enjoy a swim, then, and it's all covered as well, so you can't. And there's also a sisters gym as well, and that's open 24/7. Yeah, 24/7. Yeah, and that's all blacked out, and that's available all the time. Just the swimming is on 2 days.
Oh, nice. And how long have you been living here for now?
November 2024. So not very long. Not very long.
And in Dubai in total?
3 years.
3 years.
Yeah, 3 years.
Alhamdulillah.
So if you just across that building is where the masajid is. So for us, it's maybe like a 6-7 minute walk.
Okay.
It's not too far, But you also like got paddle courts. You've got badminton courts over here as well, and they've got like little clubs as well for the kids, so you can sign them up.
So here, it's a massive green area as well.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah,
so
so
kids can just play around.
in Ramadan it was really nice. It's getting a bit hot now,
Yeah.
but in the evening you'll find that this place will be rammed with kids,
Yeah,
and they're just playing football and just doing their thing. And you'll see it's the security walking around here as well, so it is relatively safe as well.
Oh, mashallah, I wasn't even aware of this community. I didn't even know it existed.
Yeah,
It seems
but
very
as you'll see a lot of
family-friendly.
these pockets, like you won't even be aware that it's there.
Yeah,
But the best here is just the price is great. So I'll give an example. Is we were paying 90 for our 3-bed, and then the landlord. If I wanted to look for something similar in Town Square, they were going to charge me about 120, 130.
Okay.
And for me, that's a significant amount, and it wasn't worth the space. So we had no alternative but just to look elsewhere. And then we found this, alhamdulillah.
Have you been back to the UK much?
Go back every summer. So we're going back, inshallah, in end of July and end of June. That's when like, school holidays start for teachers. So we get about 6 to 7 weeks off.
Let's just
So
swap sides. There's a sister on that side.
Yeah,
back.
no worries.
Just don't want them to get on.
Yeah. So yeah, we usually go back in summer, and then during our other holidays we tend to like do staycations, or we tend to go somewhere a bit closer. But I think the first year usually we tend to just like try to get a bit stable.
Okay.
We're getting used to the area.
Yeah.
We probably spent a lot trying to just like move here. A lot of the fees that we weren't really expecting, and then the second and third year is when you start saving, and then maybe you can enjoy your time as well.
How have your family found the move?
Family found it really well. I think I was worried about the missus. Obviously, she's very family orientated. She's very, very close to her family.
Yeah.
And what I initially said, which I meant, was that we'd go for the first year, and if you really don't like it, then we can consider moving back. And I meant that as well. However, after like the first 6 months, the first few months were a bit difficult because you just got to get used to it. Like, for example, we have to wake up at like 5 o'clock with the kids as well, and it's challenging with the kids. So that took a bit of time, and then you don't really know anyone. There's a lot of like admin that you need to go through, and obviously your family's not there to help and support you as well. But after the first 6 months, we realized that this is the place we want to be. We don't want to move, and my wife was the one telling me that I don't want to move back anymore. So I'm just going to show you quickly what the gym looks like. This is what the pool is like here. There's like shower facilities here. There's like changing rooms, male and female, separate. There's even a child's play area here. So if the kids don't want to go in the pool, they just want to play. Nice. And there's like a little play area here. The gym for the males is just here as well. I can just quickly show you. But then you'll see all the buildings are around here. Yeah, and the masjid is literally here.
So this is in the middle, and then the masjid is
it's just across as well. The gym is okay. Did you go to the town square gym?
No, we didn't.
No,
no.
we didn't. No. Yeah, so that was one of the other reasons as well, is that the gym wasn't great in town square.
Okay.
They opened up a commercial one. I don't think it's opened up just yet. But this is significantly better. And usually
And
you'll
do you
just
have to
find...
pay to access this?
No, nothing, no. So usually you just find brothers here because there's a sister's one there that has the same equipment as here.
Okay.
And yeah, you can't really complain. Usually it's quiet, to be honest, so
nice.
you don't really need to worry.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then that's the gym, women's side over there as well.
Okay.
And then all the facilities are here as well if they want to. One of the good things with the kids is that around here, because it's quite new, under our building, for example, they've got like a jiu-jitsu studio there.
Okay.
As well as with Wasal, for example, you'll see that these are all the different classes, and we've got a few other things.
MMA, what's you got? A bunch of classes here.
Yeah, obviously some of them are not like for me and you, but the MMA one is pretty decent. But there's actually a Muslim brother who's opened up an MMA gym just under our building. So and they've got schedule throughout the week as well. So for Isa,
What's the name of that gym?
it is called Alpha Fit, I believe.
Alpha Fit.
Alpha Fit, yeah, if I'm not mistaken, and I'll clarify that later. So for Isa, he'll come from school, and it's just across. So we've only been to like 2 sessions right now, but you pay for the month, and then you can go to any sessions you want.
Oh, nice.
Actually, it might be better just for us to walk to the mosque,
Yeah.
and then we'll walk back. The mosque is just here anyway.
Do you hear the adhan and
Yeah. That's one of the things I think I kind of there's like a hadith, and if you hear the adhan, you have to go.
Yeah.
So I make sure if I'm close enough that I make sure I live somewhere where it's close enough where I hear the adhan.
Which,
then it
to
kind
be
of forces
fair,
me.
is like 90% of
It is,
places
yeah.
here. Like, very rarely
It's
are you going to find a
impossible
place
if
in the UAE
Yeah,
where you're not going to
100%.
be able to hear the hear the adhan.
100%.
From my experience, anyway.
Yeah. So look, you'll see like these buildings, they're all empty here.
So these are new ones.
Yeah. I think we've got to hustle a bit once the doesn't start.
Oh, it's a massive masjid.
Yeah. But you can't cut straight through, you have to just go around.
Okay.
That's why it's still So this Imam, in Ramadan, we used to do like Qiyam al-Layl in Town Square, and it was like a standard hour thing. So the Imam said one day, he said, look, we're going to do it after Isha today. And I didn't understand fully what he meant because he was speaking Arabic.
Okay.
So I rocked up, and what I didn't realize is he was doing it from 11 till 3, yeah?
4 hours straight.
Yeah, 4 hours straight.
Allahu
But it was actually really good, because then they take breaks, and every like certain number of rakats is water there, you have a bit of snacks and stuff. But I think what the sisters enjoyed the most is that there's an atmosphere for sisters, because they've got a sister section, and yeah, they were there for Qiyam al-Layl as well. And
Nice.
so the community is there. Whichever mosque you go to, you just got to make the effort, you know.
Oh, mashallah, very good. How have you found the Islamic environment in general in the UAE?
Yeah, alhamdulillah. It's hard to misrepress it. Like, I think you have to really go out your way to do so. And anyone that, you know, comes from an Islamic background, like, so you see your brother go to pray, you're going to pray.
Yeah.
You know, even if you wouldn't normally in the UK, it's just like, you feel out of place if you don't do
It's
it.
almost like it's the culture.
Yeah.
Honestly,
yeah.
like, it's the deen, but it's almost like it's become the culture.
Yeah, 100%.
Anyway, we'll crack on after Salah, inshallah. You just bumped into one of your friends along the...
Yeah. Surprise, yeah.
Even though you guys are from the same area in the UK, but it took you guys both to move to Dubai for you to finally meet each other.
I say, we're literally one street away.
MashaAllah.
And yeah, mashallah, really good guy, man. He moved a few months before. I think one of the biggest things here was, and we were quite surprised, I think the mindset of people are different. I feel like as soon as we moved, you know, the amount of support we got, and to be fair, I've not really told him much, to be honest, but let's say he was living here and you've been to Town Square, it's about a 40-minute drive. So imagine, like, this is our first week, we're finding it very difficult, and obviously his whole family came just to like drop like food and like you know, like roti and that kind of stuff. I think we've got like 3 months supply of roti, like that kind of stuff, and we obviously were kind of blown away. And then the way what we did was I started
people
working.
are just happier here.
Yeah, they are. The mindset's just different. I feel like you're more of a community. You know what it means where you're missing your family and you don't have that support. So you want to be that support for other people. But even more that when you find that someone's moved here, you know what you went through, and therefore you want to try to make it a bit easier for them, especially the first year. And like I'll give an example where I went to work for the first couple of months, and obviously family was at home. So obviously Safraz's family literally drove from here to pick my family up, then take them back to Emirates, spend the day. I went to Sharjah, then drop them back again.
Sharjah as well?
Yeah, they went to Sharjah, and then dropped them all the way back to Town Square, and then went back here.
Allahumma barik, man.
And I was like, imagine how many hours, exactly, man. And I think that went such a long way to just helping us feel a bit more at home, and knowing that there's people out there that we can rely on, we can count on. And obviously that Muslim brotherhood as well, isn't it?
Of course.
And it went a long way, man. So yeah, Safraz, we live really close to each other.
What tips would you say or would you give in terms of networking for people that, because people say that they struggle, community-wise.
Yeah.
It is easy in the UK.
Yeah.
Everyone knows everyone in your area, whereas here it's a bit different.
100%. Like everyone who knows me will know that when I was in Leicester, I didn't really talk to any new people. So the people that I knew, my close friends or the people at work, that was the same circle I was with, and I probably would have been with for the last 5, 6, 7 years.
Yeah.
And as soon as I moved here, one of my close friends, Adil, he's been here for about 10 years now, 8 to 10. He said, Muhammad, as soon as you move here, you need to start to learn to say salam to new people, meet new people, go in different circles. And sometimes you might find that, look, it's not for you. But sometimes you'll find actually, these are my kind of people, the same type of mindset. Our values are the same, and therefore you force yourself out that circle. And wallah, bro, I'll be honest, I've met some amazing people. Like, and it's not just expats from Britain, it's just like people from all over the world. And I feel like you can gain some benefit from the different. If I was in Leicester, you find that everyone thinks the same. Like, it's very, very difficult for you to find someone that thinks differently or from a different way, or that. Whereas here, you'll find people that, and sometimes the way they think might not, align with what you think, but sometimes you'll think, oh wow, I never thought of it that way, actually, or I think you need to network. There's been brothers here that have come, and then after a year they went back because it was him, the wife, and the kids, and they've just kept themselves enclosed in their own community and that little bubble, and they just thought, oh, Dubai's not the life for me. My family's not here. It's boring. I feel lonely, and then they'll go back. Whereas I don't feel like they've given it a chance where they've not went out of their way to, try to socialize with different people.
You find much of a social life with work colleagues or not really?
Not really, because the way that I am at work is I want to make sure that I focus on the job at hand and try to do everything I can. Whereas when I'm in my community, I go to the masajid, I'll meet brothers there. I'm quite active in terms of sports, so we'll meet brothers in football.
How did you get into that football?
So it's a funny story. When I first moved to Town Square, a few years before that, when Easter was born, I tried to get a bit more healthy. So I started training, going to the gym, etc. And when I came to Dubai, I thought, look, I need to carry on with that. And going to the gym for me is just boring. I need to make sure I'm doing some sort of sport because it's more likely that I'm going to continue. But in Town Square, even though we had an amazing football pitch there, no one was playing football. So there was actually a 11-a-side pitch or an 8-a-side pitch, and there's a 5-a-side pitch there. Okay. And we just made a group, me and one of my friends, and it was just 2 of us. And then when we were at the mosque, we kept asking brothers, look, do you want to play, do you want to play? And after a couple of weeks, we managed to get about 8 people, and we had our first game. And the second week, got another 8 people, and then the same brothers, and then we got 10-a-side, 5-a-side eventually. And then after a few months, we got so much interest, we started playing 8-a-side.
Okay.
And now it's been 3 years on, and it's a good set of Muslim brothers, man. Like maybe once or twice a year, we'll go paintballing, we'll tag, we'll go out to eat, And
guys, man.
bro, it's so good because there are certain brothers that have come out, and they've literally said to me on DM that, bro, if it wasn't for this group, I don't think I would have met other Muslim brothers, and I probably would have isolated myself,
So if someone's watching this, they move to the UAE, they're feeling a bit lonely.
Yeah, you can join the group, man.
Yeah?
But right now, it's come to a stage where we've got 25, 26 brothers putting their name down. You understand? But it's still nonetheless, we still do socials. You understand? So it's good that we're we meet each other, we go out places and stuff, and it's good banter as well. But it's really good for networking. So a lot of the brothers that I've actually, the way when I started my podcast, I didn't have anyone to come on the show, and I asked these brothers, and some of them are very well known in the community. You know, high net worth individuals. They're people that are like leading the way. Like one of the brothers, you know, Freshly Grounded.
Yes.
Faisal. Yeah, Faisal. Yeah. So his brother was playing with us, and I know he's got a podcast, and it was just a thought in my mind that I want to start this parenting podcast. So I said, who can I go to? Who can I go to? And I thought, you know what? Let me just try. What's the worst that can happen is probably ignore me. Bro, he messaged me like that same day. I said, bro, you're free for coffee after Juma. Let's just go and have a chat. And I was like, how is this Faisal messaging me and taking that time out, bro? I don't even have a following. But I mean, man, and then he sat down for an hour, he brought his notebook, and he asked me all these questions, and then he gave me so much advice, like use this tool, use that tool. And I was quite blown away, man. I was just like, he's giving me all this wisdom, and he's probably taken him years for him to gather that advice. And even though it's just an hour, it's probably helped me in my trajectory, like months.
Significantly,
you know, and then outside, then his brother said, oh yeah, I'll come on. And he came on the show, and then he recommended me a few other brothers. And I feel like just the mindset of people here, they're so much more helpful. They don't want anything in return. They just want you to see you grow. And probably because most of the time when they ask them, someone's done something similar when they were younger, and they just want to repay that favor. And I feel like just the mindset is different. And I don't want to I don't want to put people down in the UK, but it's just like when I was in the UK and I was trying different things, usually I either was ignored or laughed at, or what am I going to get in return? But I don't think not even one person has asked me here, oh, what am I going to get in return? You know, and people are surprised, oh, these lot come on for free. And I was like, Savannah, you know what, you're right, because I was like in my mind trying to set aside some money, budgeting people to come on, and he's like, bro, not even one person ever asked me to go on that for money. They just want to impart whatever value they feel that they have, and then that's enough for them, you know?
You mentioned you looked at the rent prices.
Yes, I did. It's on my iPad. Yeah. I want to give the exact numbers.
Okay.
So they can understand. Yeah. I bring my iPad in the car anyway, so...
You're driving though?
Oh, am I driving, yeah?
You're driving. Why are you going to bring your iPad while we're driving? Like, come on.
Alright, no worries.
You mentioned having a nanny.
Yes.
How does that work, and how helpful would you say that's been?
I think that's probably the main reason why my wife doesn't want to go back to the UK. Because, because since she's moved here, she's not like cleaned dishes, done the laundry, ironing, bed sheets. Like, you don't really need to do that anymore. You know, she'll do everything, and so she'll be here in the morning and she'll stay like 6 days a week, you know, and alhamdulillah, like the maid we have now, she's been with us for nearly, it's going to be her 4th year. Very trustworthy, no issues, and my wife and they both get along. And the problem is that what sometimes people think is that in the UK you get time to spend with your kids, but the reality is that you don't, because you're working all day and then maybe you get about half an hour with the kids. Whereas here, as soon as we're back from work, that's it, it's just kids time. Weekends is full kids time. You know, we're not doing anything. We'll just say, oh, can you make sure this is done, or this is done here and there. But significant help, man.
So is that included in your work package, or do you have to pay for that yourself?
No, we pay that ourselves.
Do you want me asking how much is that?
Yeah, so we pay 3,500 for ours, but you can...
Per month?
Per month, yeah.
6 days a week?
6 days a week,
Morning to evening?
So she'll come just before we go for work, and then she'll leave about 4. And then on Fridays, probably give a half day, like, because we're not at home most of the time, and if we're away for the weekend, she'll
that's about £800 a month, right?
Yeah.
So you also said that you do football, and I think you do paddle as well?
Yeah, so before I was playing football twice a week, but my legs, I've got this thing called plantar fasciitis. Yeah, so if I play too much on my feet, specific sports, then it's just, I can't walk the next day. And it's probably I have to go to the doctor at some point, but I'm not the type to go. I just left it. So I play once a week now. I play paddle twice a week as well, and even in Sintown Square. So all the brothers there, we just play paddle there.
Cool, so today's car has the keys for the car.
Yeah.
Brabus G-Wagon. As you mentioned, you're not really much of a petrol head.
No, I'm not. But my students, before I left for the UK, they're like, so are you going to drive G-Wagon when you go to Dubai? And I was like, I don't think so, man.
Here, isn't it?
The first 2 years I had a Nissan Sunny, man.
Yeah.
On my humble car, but inshallah, I'll give this a go.
Let's jump in, man. Today's car is this beautiful Brabus G-Wagon. I know we had one previously. That was the Tiffany blue one. This is purple exterior with an orange interior. Look at that beauty. In my personal opinion, the best and most accessible way to move to the UAE in 2025 is through setting up a business. If you have an existing business in the West that's already generating you enough income and doesn't rely on your physical presence, then you should be able to move here tomorrow. Just set up a business here, cost you about £6,000 a year, and you'll get residency that way. And that's exactly what I did. But what if you don't have an existing business or an existing business idea? I find a lot of people think that in order to start a business, they have to come up with a revolutionary new product or an amazing new idea that no one ever thought of, because otherwise they can't ever make money. And that's not true. Sometimes the easiest way to make money is through the exact same thing that another person is already doing. Maybe you do it in a slightly different way. Maybe you target a slightly different market. And one such example of this is setting up an influencer marketing agency. In short, you work behind the scenes brokering deals between brands and influencers. You connect the two, arrange the deal, and take a cut. It's very beginner friendly because most of you guys are already well versed in social media. Let's be real. And you don't need a massive amount of capital to get started. And there is a mentorship program called the Influencer Marketing Agency Accelerator, designed to take you from 0 to 10K per month using this very business model. Now listen guys, by all means, you can go off and try and even do this by yourself. You can try and figure out how to find influencers, how to pitch to brands, how to ensure you structure the deal in a way where you actually get paid. And that might take you weeks, months, years, and you may not ever even be successful. Or you can check out the mentorship linked in the description. Now, you guys will know it's not the first time that I'm talking about this. And the reason why I'm so passionate about it is because I've already started to see the results. There are multiple brothers that signed up after our Righteous and Rich podcast with the founder, brother Abubakr, who have already made back their investment and more. I genuinely believe this will be a means for so many of you guys watching this to be able to do Hijrah, with the permission of Allah, of course. But I do have to warn you, number one, it's not cheap. Number two, it's not easy. You have to put in the hard work in order to see the results. So here's what I'll do. I'll leave 2 links in the description. If you're sold, you're ready, you want to take this on, you can apply from the first link. If you want to learn a little bit more about the program and about the founder, brother Abubakr, I'll link the podcast that we did so you can learn more about him. With that said, let's get straight back into the car and into the episode, inshallah. So prices wise, roughly off the top of your head, what would you say?
I'll clarify later, but for us, we paid 96 for a 3-bed plus maid.
Okay.
And there's also 2 balconies. So in terms of the reason why the balcony is important here is you can put your clothes and stuff out there, and it makes it a bit easier instead of leaving it inside the house.
Okay.
But now when I checked today morning, for a 3-bed, you're paying about 110.
Okay.
But the square feet was a lot higher, so it probably means it's probably a ground floor and the balcony is all the way around the apartment.
Like a massive terrace.
Yeah. I'm assuming that's what it is. I didn't see the floor plans. And a 2-bed is 85.
Okay.
Now I'll compare that to Town Square, where when we were looking to either move here or there, for 90K, I was paying for a 2-bed. Square feet was 888 square feet for 90K.
Wow.
Community is amazing. The facilities, amenities are amazing. It's literally opposite the mosque, and therefore we were kind of considering it. And we've got a lot of friends that live there anyway, so it's good for the kids. But we just couldn't make it feasible. And it was just like there's too many cons.
You know, prices in general, throughout the UAE are rocketing.
Yeah, they are.
Even in Sharjah, bro. Like I went to the Sharjah. They got a rule there where when whatever you sign a contract on, for 3 years the rent price is locked. So I took a 4-bedroom. It's like a waterfront, like penthouse basically, right? Yeah. And it was 67,000.
Wow.
Massive.
Okay. What kind of square feet were we looking at?
I haven't checked. I'll need to check it, but it's definitely over 2,000.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And I went to renew for my 3rd year, so it's my final year locked in at this price. So I asked her out of curiosity, like, what's the going rate for those now? And she said that they've gone up to 89, from 67 to 89 in 2 years. So after 3 years, it's probably going to go even higher.
Yeah.
I was thinking to myself, bro, I'm most likely not going to stay here.
Is this electronic or do you move that manually?
You move it manually.
Don't want to break it, man.
No, the car's this is a very mechanical car. Everything, they built it, so you have to, it's a workout to do everything in this car.
Yeah, the prices are going higher. The biggest mistake is if you try to convert your dirhams into pounds, then you think, wow, I'm paying this. Maybe if you're from London, it won't be that much of a difference. But when you compare that to Leicester, you think, wow, I'm paying a significant amount. But you have to compare that. Obviously, your base salary is going to be a lot higher here. So overall, and some schools, we can talk about this later, is that they'll give you a very, very good living allowance. So it'll more than cover your rental.
Well, let's talk about it now.
So different schools will give you different packages. So you'll get
what can a person expect as a teacher as a salary, a base salary?
Okay, so in terms of base salary, I'd say for me a good amount would be about 16,000.
16,000
Yeah.
dirhams.
So that's some, because what schools will do is they'll define base salary as something different. So they'll do base salary and then transport, and then they'll add a few other numbers in there. And that's to do with when you leave, you get a month for every year you've worked, and they just mess around with that. But in terms of your take-home income, if you get about 16,000, then you're good. And then they'll usually give you housing on top of that. And that depends on the type of school you have. Some schools, they will give you a very nominal amount where it just doesn't make sense to take the housing, and it's better for you to take the school accommodation, whatever they offer. Other schools, the different premium schools, they'll offer you a very, very good housing allowance. So it just depends on the school that you apply for. Obviously, to get into the premium schools, you need to have taught for a certain number of years. So you get your degree, and then you get your teaching qualification. If you get it in the UK, it's better.
Can your degree be in any field, or it has to be a teaching related field?
So mine is law, but I teach history and geography. So there's a bit of leeway there, yeah. But usually you can link your degree to some sort of subject, and usually that depends on your transcript. So let's say, for example, some of your topics, let's say you're doing computer science, then a lot of your topics might be maths related, so you qualify for a maths teacher license, for example. So it's easy for you to, regardless of what degree you do, you can teach something, and I don't think that's ever going to be an issue. But once you get your teaching degree, which is a year, then there's PGCE.
CE.
Yeah, so you can do an IPGC if you're already here and you think, okay, I want to have a career change, and I know someone that's done that. They've just done it online, but they need to be working at a school. So this sister here, she was a TA, and she just did her IPGC, and now she is a primary school teacher after a year. But once you finish your teacher training, you have 2 years as an ECT. So those teachers that are listening, they'll understand what that means. That means for 2 years, you're not really classed as a qualified teacher. You're a teacher in training everywhere in the world. Yes, so in the UK or here, then the first 2 years, and you kind of get leeway, so you get more training, you get less hours of teaching. You know, people check in with you, you have like a mentor.
Is that why they usually have a minimum 2-year experience requirement for jobs here?
Because after you finish your teacher training and then your ECT, then you're regarded as a qualified teacher. Now, the more years you have on top of that, then your salary will get better, but it's better for you to get your teacher training, because if I'm brutally honest, in the UK there's a lot more structure in terms of training. Depending on your school, there may still be structure here, but you might find that, look, you're an ECT,
throw you into the deep end.
and they'll throw you into deep end, and that's another way to learn and to get better. But I felt that in the UK, you just got a lot more training, you got a lot more support, your hours were reduced a lot more, and it just made it a bit easier for you. Whereas here, I have a few ECTs under me, and we try to give them as much support as we can, but there's just a lot going on, and the care isn't there as much.
People don't realize teaching has actually been a way to move to the Middle East for many years now. Just think about it, like, what's one thing that I don't say all, but let's just say most British people have that is valuable, that people would pay for? It's your English language. Like, it's your English language, and people underestimate how easy it is to get jobs here with being a British citizen.
100%.
As a teacher, not just in the English language, you can teach, other subjects, as you mentioned as well.
Any subject you teach in the UK, you can teach it here.
Would you say it's getting easier or harder to land teaching jobs now in terms of supply and demand?
Some people say that it's getting saturated, but personally, from my experience, I've not seen that to be the case. There are more people applying, more people are moving, but with the people moving, the number of schools, like every school here, most of them are oversubscribed. So that just means that every year the community is growing. And then you'll see schools pop up everywhere here.
Oversubscribed in terms of students, or in terms of teachers?
Students. So like the classes are getting too big, so therefore for the next year they'll have more teachers, they'll recruit more to like kind of divide the class up a bit. So in my personal experience, I think that there is still a demand for teachers. If you like, there's a website that most teachers will know, it's called jobs.com. Most teachers will use that because as a teacher, you go on the website and other teachers have made resources on a specific topic or unit. You can just download it, or sometimes they'll charge like £1 or £2. But on that same platform, there's a link for jobs, and most schools will use that as a way to advertise their jobs. So it's tesjobs.com, and I would go there when I wanted to move here every day, and I'd check, and every day there'd be jobs out in Dubai or the UAE, and you'd click onto it, and then you'll see what their requirements are, and then we'd apply from there. So I would use either Test or LinkedIn to apply for teacher jobs. And it's just a numbers game. it's just a numbers game.
So other than a degree,
Yeah.
2 years of experience, and obviously your PGCE, is there
Yeah.
any other thing that you need as a requirement?
That's it.
That's it.
That's it. You can come in with a degree and a PGC only and no teaching experience, and you can still land a job. But the school you'll get the package might not be as great. But as you get more experience and you've done the role, like with any other job in the world, the more you do something, then the more value you'll bring to the firm and the better package it will be, right? So my personal advice would just be, but some people, they just want to get out quick.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, just do your teacher training and come. And you will find something, and then you'll just learn on the job.
So what are the other benefits you get included in your package? You mentioned you get a travel allowance sometimes.
Yep.
You get an accommodation allowance. Also, you get your salary.
Yep.
What else do you get?
So other things that you can expect to get, and I'll give you like, there's like a range. So you'll get medical for sure, for yourself.
Okay.
But depending on the school and the quality of school, you may then get your spouse and 2 children.
Okay.
You will get student tuition, and so for your child, you have to pay to go to school here. If you've chosen not to homeschool, you're going to have to pay for tuition.
Okay.
So some schools will give you a discount on one child, let's say 50%. Other schools, as you get higher up in terms of the quality of the school, you may get 1 child free, but the standard is 2 children free. That's what you'll get.
You can put your child in your own school at a discount.
A discount, free, or 2 children for free as well in your own school.
But what happens if, for example, if you're a secondary school teacher and your children are in primary school?
That's fine. As long as
is it transferable?
Yeah. So what you realize here is, in UAE compared to the UK, the biggest difference is usually they'll have phases, and it's all part of one branch. So for example, the school I used to work at, they have a primary branch, a secondary branch, and 6th form, and it's all in the same campus. So regardless of whether your kids are younger or older, they'll just be in the building opposite, for example. So it's a non-issue, and it makes things easier. So when you're going to work, they're there. If anything ever happens, you just go downstairs to the other and say, "Oh, everything's okay," or maybe the kid's gone to the nurse, or wherever it might be. And also for me as a parent, I keep an eye on my kid as well. If he knows dad's here, he's on his best behavior. You know?
When they say, I'll call your dad, they just go across the hall and knock on the door and say...
That's it. And you find that it's better because they know that you're there. And you keep it good with the teachers as well, so they'll be real with you if your child needs a bit more help or if he's not doing something he should be. Yeah. For me, it's a benefit. So my kids go to the school my wife goes to. Alhamdulillah, they really, really love it there as well. So tuition is a big thing. This is why I recommend teachers, if you are single or you've just been married, then you come in and then you get you become a bit more stable, because after you got more experience, you can then choose the school you want to work at where your child goes to, and it's beneficial for the employer and for yourself, because I'm looking to go to a school where my son's going to go to. I'm going to be there 5 years. So for the employer, it's good because
he gets the stability.
He's got the stability. He's got a long-term teacher here, and he knows I'm not going, because it's a bit disorientating for a child to move them after 2 years. He's got his friends, he knows his teachers, there's a building, and now we're moving and going somewhere else, and it can be a bit of a challenge. So usually get your feet planted when you're here, get to know the ropes, and then you can move to a different school when you want to. So tuition is there as well.
So for those who, let's just say they don't get tuition included in the package, or they come for business or another job, how much can they expect to have to pay per year for education for their children?
Okay, so that's a good question, but that varies, and that caters to every type of demographic. So you'll get certain schools that are very cheap.
How cheap is it very cheap?
I'm using offhand here, like
it's rough figures.
I'd say about 15. And also we got to bear in mind that when they're younger, it's a bit more cheap, and as they get older, secondary it gets more expensive. You know, and then you'll get like premium schools, so like
15,000 dirhams.
15,000 dirhams approximately. But I said the average would be about 30. 30 would be average, but the really cheap schools, obviously the quality will be what you expect for the price you're paying. And then let's say you'll get 40,000 would be average, I'd say, per child, 40,000 dirhams, and then 85, 90 is where you're looking at some of the premium schools. Now, I've not checked this offhand, this is just off the top of my head here. But but it's easy, if you're a teacher and a parent, you can just go on that school's website and there'll be an easily accessible section, fees, and you can just have a look at what you'd expect. Okay. So one other thing I'd say about tuition as well is, if you're looking to work at a GEM school, which is like, if you've not from the UAE, you've not heard of it, it's like
I see it around the world.
It's a franchise school, so there may be like 20, 25, 30 of GEM schools here. If you work at a GEM school as a parent, you can allow your child to work at to go to any GEM school. It doesn't have to be yours.
Okay.
So and that's a very big benefit, because then you can choose actually a premium school, and that's still covered as well. So that is a benefit if you're working at a gem school. But if you're working at a gem school as well, the standards are very high, and the expectations from a teacher is also very high as well. So that's something that you need to bear in mind, that they will expect value from you, because their packages are really, really good. So like, you give what you get, kind of thing.
Okay, cool. So that's tuition as well. What else is included?
So visa. So when you come to Dubai, if you don't have your own business, then you have to get an iqama, if that's the right word.
Yeah.
And if you are as a teacher, they'll pay for your own, and that just means that for those 2 years you'll be under school sponsorship. So if you're a basic school, they'll just pay for your own. If you're the higher you go, then they'll pay for a spouse and your children as well, usually up to 2. Now when you go to like leadership roles, the packages get better in terms of they may cover like 3 children, for example. But that's the kind of thing that you're expecting. So those are the kind of things, and then flights is the last thing that I'd include here. So going there and back per year, they'll cover your flights, and once again, like depending on the school, then they'll cover your spouses and then children as well, as you get more and more premium.
Yeah.
So basically, most of the main costs they'll cover.
How long were you a teacher for in the UK?
Close to 10 years before I moved.
Oh wow! So
Yeah. And
how old are you, bro? If you don't asking, you don't have to keep this in your
I'm
computer.
37. I'm 37.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm 37.
You don't look it,
No, really?
bro. Bro, I love a verdict. I thought you were much younger than that.
So it's been about 15 years now since I've
wow.
been teaching. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
So I'll tell you a story. So just when Issa was born,
Issa being your
Issa, my oldest.
Your oldest.
So my friend Adil, really close friend of mine, and he moved to Dubai. He was in Abu Dhabi at the time. He said, "Bro, move." He's like, "Trust me, if you're gonna do one thing, just move." And Issa was just like literally newborn, and I thought, all right, cool. It's time for me to let's have a look. So alhamdulillah, like his missus were working at a school, and I had a law degree, and I've done my PGC, etc. I had a bit of experience at the time. So the teacher of law position opened up. I was like, all right, cool, let me go for it. So I went for the job, went for the interview, everything went well. They sent me a contract. I like, wicked. Let's go for it. So I read through the contract, etc., but I misread the terms. So remember, don't misread the terms. So I was getting like 14,000 dirhams, and this was like 8 years ago, before I even moved.
Yeah.
And I thought 14,000, that's a lot, man. I was considering like everything running in my head, and I didn't realize that what you'll realize, usually they'll give you your salary, and then but they won't say that they've already included accommodation there. They'll just assume, and it's in the benefit of the employer, that the accommodation is what the school provides, because they just buy the whole building out. It's cheaper for them. So I was like, no, I can't afford 14, and then I was accounting for accommodation within that price. And I told her, no, I can't do this, man, because it just doesn't make sense. Because then I was taking out 8 extra a month, and I can't survive on 8,000 dirhams. But what I misread was it was 14 plus accommodation, and if I went for that position at that time, I'd been here 8 years like him, and I should have taken that role, but I didn't. Exactly, yeah. So I got more experience here, and I had my second son there, and alhamdulillah, man, like we say, our risk is written.
Yeah.
But the point I'm trying to get here is read the contract properly. And if you don't understand something, ring up HR and clarify what are the terms, are these the terms, yes or no, and they'll clarify that for you. It's just a misconception on my part where I didn't think to ask. I didn't even ask Adil, to be honest. If I did, he would have probably told me, actually, you know what, you're making a big, you're not calculating correctly. But yeah, alhamdulillah. So yeah, I've been teaching for a while, and then we eventually moved out.
So would you say for a teacher, progression-wise, career progression and promotions, and would you say it's better here? Would you say it's better in the UK?
Without a shadow of a doubt, it's better here. The reason being is we're in the UAE. People come and go all the time. Number one, there's more schools here. Yeah, within one city, there's a lot of schools, and new schools are opening every single year. Yeah. Number two, we've got expats here, so for whatever reason, people come and go. Yes, and therefore the turnover rate compared to the UK, I would say is triple or even quad, depending on the school that you're in. That means that positions open up all the time. Whereas in the UK, the salary structure is the same from school to school because it's government for most of them, and therefore whichever school you're at, you're going to get the same kind of salary anyway. And usually when people are comfortable somewhere, they'll just work their way up. Whereas here, it's more common where you'll do a few years here, and then you'll start looking for a role. So maybe 2-3 years. For me, like 3 years is a good time. Unless I get progression within the same school, then I'll move somewhere else and gain more experience.
Okay. And in terms of the actual education itself,
do
you feel like it's better here, or do you feel like it's better in the UK?
generally, and this is a bit controversial for me, I just feel like the education system is needed for a revamp. So whether it's the UK or here, it's pretty much the same for me. I feel like a lot of the things that we cover isn't relevant anymore. In terms of the quality, I feel that the quality is better here because it's paid. Therefore, you are paying for an education, and as a parent, you can hold your teachers and the school a bit more accountable. So if something's not happening, let's say I'm not getting enough homework, I can message the teacher and say, look, can we get more maths homework, please? Or you're not marking enough, or whatever it might be, you can hold the teachers into account. Whereas in the UK, because it's free, technically free, then you don't feel like you can hold the teachers to account. So the standard of education, I feel generally on the whole is better. But here, because it's paid, there's a big discrepancy from school to school. So wherever I feel like in the UK there's more consistency, the quality of education generally is going to be the same around the UK. Whereas here, if you choose the wrong school, then it just depends on that school. That school may not be great. So therefore you need to obviously know people within the different communities or whose child has actually gone there, and then get like an honest review from that school. But as a rule of thumb, the more you're paying for your education, the better the quality of education.
Do you also get flights included in your package?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, you get flights for yourself, and then depending on the school, they may pay for your spouse and 2 children as well, return flight.
So can you choose where that flight is going to be, or it has to be back to your
country? So when you actually fill out your form, they'll say where is your home, or what's the nearest airport or something for you. And therefore, we said later I should have said London Heathrow because you get more allowance, but I just did Birmingham because it's close to Leicester. But later my mates were like, look, actually just do London because they just give you cash. So if it's London, you tend to get a bit more. But we just did Birmingham because
you can't say like this year I want to go to Maldives.
So they just give you a lump sum. So you can decide what you want to do.
Or use it.
Exactly. Some people don't go home in summer. They'll just stay, and maybe they'll go home in winter, or maybe they'll just go for a holiday somewhere.
So let's say you don't have to put yourself, but let's just say a teacher has been here for let's just say 5 years, about average.
Yeah.
Everything included, what can they expect to take home?
I would say it depends on the role they're in. So if they're a teacher, I'd say maybe about 16 to 18 is a realistic figure.
Okay.
If you are in leadership, so you're a head of a department, for example, I'd say depending on the school, 22, 23, you get like a leadership bonus, 23,000 dirhams. So you got to convert that on your own depending on and then when you're an assistant head, maybe 28. These are just off the top figures.
And that's like average.
Yeah, I would say average. Yeah, 100%. Like, I'm just using like the people that I know that are in these positions. Generally, this is what they take home. Okay. And that's with housing allowance as well. So that's the kind of number. But you will save. You will definitely save. Like for us, alhamdulillah, like we will still save even though we don't watch the wallet. So in the weekends we'll take the kids out, go out to eat. We're not really looking at the price. And alhamdulillah, we will save significantly more. And if I compare that to my situation in the UK, I would say maybe a couple of £100 a month max. And
You're
then
able to save.
Yeah, max. And that's me like being a bit frugal. Even with the heating, that kind of thing. And these are things that you're kind of worrying about. Whereas here, like the reason why I mentioned heating is like the month we literally moved here, the bill I had to pay was £2,300 on my heating. Just that was my last bill.
For 1 month?
Yeah, for 1 month. Obviously, there was like, when you do like your meter readings, they might maybe so accurate, etc. So maybe, they kind of accumulated. Because we were trying to close off the bill, it probably accumulated over a while. And it hit me for 6, and I was like, wow. And then at the end of the month, I had to pay a bill here, and it was like nominal. I didn't even realize it coming out of my account. So you like pay DIWA, and you'll pay like other things for your AC, etc. And it's just a reasonable amount. Like you don't really need to worry.
What are your working hours like as a teacher?
So working hours, so one of the biggest things I'll tell teachers, if you've already taught in the UK, one of the biggest things that you need to be aware of is that the working hours are different. So in the UK, you may wake up at 7:30, get to school about 8:15. That's generally what teachers will do. Whereas here, I'm up about 5:30, pray salah, etc. And then get changed out the house by about, and like I said, I was working in town square, so it's about a 45-minute drive for me. School starts at 7. So if you've got kids as well, you've got to get them up and you've got to be ready. So 5:30 is a normal time where I'll wake up, and maybe early if it's Salah time, there might be no point even sleeping. And that's the biggest difference, where you've got to get used to that change in time. So yeah, you will start about 7 o'clock, and then you will finish about 2:30. generally you'll finish about 2:30, so it's still a decent time.
Yeah.
And then the good thing is Friday is a half day, so by about 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock you're done for the day. Go home, get ready for Jummah, have a shower, and then you're ready for Salah. And this is probably one of the biggest perks, because Friday doesn't even feel like you're working. It feels like you've got the full day. Because even if you aren't working, even in the UK, let's say, you don't do anything before Jummah anyway. After Jummah is the day starts. So before here, it used to be Friday, Saturday was the day off. But a lot of people felt like Friday was a bit of a waste of time, because then they're waking up a bit later, they're getting ready for Salah. They don't go anywhere else for Jummah except within their community. And then after Jummah, there's traffic, because everyone's shooting off to go to the mall and go to eat, etc. So it's a bit of a mission getting there as well. Now it feels like you've got a 3-day weekend, essentially. And it's just a game changer for me.
How many holidays do you actually get in the year, or is it similar?
It's a very, very similar to the UK, but you get a few perks. So for example, Ramadan is half working hours. So everything for the whole month. Yeah. So this year was wicked. We had 3 weeks. The week before, the year before, we had 2, and next year we'll have the whole year where we're just working half the time. And usually, the whole month we're working in Ramadan, which is fine by me, because you start like at 9, you finish at 1. But the tradition and the culture here is that most kids won't turn up in Ramadan, especially if you're working in school where there's a lot of local students. They're not on that. They're just there to pray, and they're up at night doing qiyam and they're praying, etc.
And so, do you get in trouble? Do you get fines?
Not really. Nah, not really. I think the ministry are looking into fines, but they've not really enforced that, because in Ramadan they understand, look, this is the year that we're worshipping, we're focusing on ibadah, and therefore it's cool. But outside of Ramadan, then they will enforce fines. I've seen that they're a bit more firm in that regards. But in Ramadan, so as teachers, I'll find maybe there's 1 or 2 students, and usually they're just like teachers' kids that are there. So we don't really cover content. So you can just plan your lessons, you can do your marking, and just relax. Ramadan I get through a lot of Quran at school in Ramadan, because there's nothing that we're really doing. Then get home for 1, have a little nap, and then Ramadan is the best thing about the UAE, or any Muslim country really, because it's catered around the whole Ramadan. Whereas in the UK, you'll feel that everyone just goes about their day. Most people don't know what Ramadan is. Tarawih is till late, and therefore you're waking up early, you're tired, and it takes part of your day. Here, the whole world stops for Ramadan. And as a teacher, it's amazing. Like, it's absolutely, and especially for the kids as well, they're on that vibe, and they want to come for Tarawih as well, and the kids are just playing outside with those that don't want to pray. The children are praying outside, and it's safe as well. So I'll be inside praying Tarawih, and the kids are playing, and they all want to go to the mosque as well. So Ramadan is amazing. So you'll get that, and then you also get Eid holiday here. Whereas in the UK, the way as a teacher, the way it works is you'll get like 1 paid holiday off. So for my siblings, like most of my siblings are all teachers. So what will happen is that the Eid day will be called, let's say it's a Tuesday, so then they'll work on Monday, and then they'll get ready for Eid on Tuesday, and then they're back to work on Wednesday. And therefore what that means is that Tuesday is really cut short, and they'll come home a bit early because they've got work the next day. And the kids are going to school the next day, so they don't get to enjoy it. Whereas here, usually, you'll get minimum 3 days off, but sometimes you get a week, like the whole 5 days off. And therefore the Eid day is actually like an Eid week. And therefore you've got a few days after Eid, just to relax, go to a hotel, something, relax, wherever you want, and then you get rested, and then you can go back to school rested. Whereas in the UK it was a bit rushed, and whilst family is there, you just feel like you're just going through the motions there. It can be a bit challenging.
So other than the early starts,
yeah,
what else would you say are some of the challenges of being a teacher here compared to the UK?
You're held a bit more accountable from parents, so it's not uncommon where parents will message you on your school system and drop a message of how are they doing, and you're expected to reply within like 24 hours, for example.
Because obviously these guys are paying
absolutely,
big sums of money, 100%. And they want to...
But also the class sizes are quite small, so you kind of know your kids intimately. So if you're on it as a teacher and you really care about your students, then you will know, okay, this...
What's the average class size?
It depends. I don't think you'll ever get more than 20. Okay. But then I think about 15 would be average.
Okay.
I've got a class of 2 students. Yeah?
Wow.
Yeah. So when you go to like 6th form, if 2 kids want to do a certain subject and you've promised it, then we have to adhere to that. So you'll have 2 kids with for your subject. You get kids like maybe even in GCSE there's like 10. So we have to, if we say in our curriculum that we hold the subject straight ahead, then we have to make sure, even if it's 1 student, we'll do it.
But right, in the UK you got Ofsted and stuff like that. You come and do reports and
of course,
stuff. Is it similar here?
Yeah, very similar. So that's called the case day.
They do have a number, so you should just open up.
Yeah, it's called the case day. Very similar thing. They use the same kind of framework. The good thing here is that they've tried to revamp their framework a bit. So for the last year, we've not had any inspections, and then for the next year, they don't have any planned. So for those that are teachers, you'll know what Ofsted is already. They understand what it means and what's expected where we park.
Yeah, it's all there today. With that green car.
And essentially, for those that are not teachers, it's just that they'll come to school and they'll come and observe your classes, ensuring that you're adhering to the curriculum, and they'll try and grade your teaching, and then based on the average level of teaching of the school, then they'll give you a grade.
Anyway,
the good thing about it, I don't know whether it's good or bad, you can make your own judgment, is that the higher you're rated on KHDA, the more tuition fees you can charge here. And that's why there's an incentive for schools here to offer a better quality of education, because then you've got a boundary. If you're an outstanding school, your boundary of what you can charge goes up and down. I'm not sure if I'm
last but not least, that's fine, it's fine. It's a Sunday anyway. Last but not least, before we jump into the podcast, is there any forced LGBTQ nonsense here?
No, not at all. Actually, you get a fine.
Really?
You get fines, yeah. So
wow.
In my old school, even if you have rainbows, the KHD said don't put rainbows in primary, which is a bit peak for the kids because they like rainbows, but they said nah, just no rainbows in school. Even if it's just a normal rainbow, just no rainbows. Yeah. So there was actually teachers I've known that, or schools where they were promoting it kind of like low key, and then the schools got fined. And not even that, you find like you find a high portion of students actually leaving. The parents catch hold of that and say, actually, I don't want my kids here, and then they move.
Is there, before we jump in, last question, is there any kind of Islamic theme or element present in just regular schools?
So there's mandatory Islamic curriculum in every single school. So you'll have your British curriculum, depending, or an American, and then you'll have the, it's called, I may get it wrong, but there's basically an Islamic curriculum where you have to do Quran and you have to do other types of subjects, Arabic, Islamic is called as well. So these are the things that you have to cover in the curriculum. Mandatory.
But what if you're not Muslim?
So then you get taken out of that class and then you'll just do something else. So let's say, for example, in a school where maybe they don't focus too much on the Islamic ethos, they will have those lessons present, but they may not take it as seriously. And therefore, as a parent, it's for you to see, okay, what school is right for my child? And therefore, you might want to choose a school where it's more faith-based and they take their religion very, very seriously. And you'll see that on the website and when you look into the podcast, etc. So for example, the school I was teaching at was an Islamic school. So my kids go to a faith-based school and they put a lot of hours into Quran, Islamic education, Arabic, and they've got a very strong Quran program. They have a Hifz program as well. So these are the things that obviously resonate with what we want for our kids, and therefore we send our kids there. But other schools, they might just have it like just ticking the boxes. It just depends what you want for your child, and there's something for everyone. So if a teacher isn't Muslim, they won't be forced to sit in that subject. They'll just do like PE, or they might do like PSHE or something equivalent. So they won't waste their time.
Bro, that conversation was so engaging, so beneficial. I forgot to even do a review of the car. I forgot to put a foot down, forgot to test it. But quickly, just what are your thoughts?
G-Wagon? Bro, it's good. It's like you said, it's mechanical, man.
But we didn't get a chance to actually.
I was focused on the conversation.
Maybe afterwards, we can do something. Let's make money together. If you're an investor with at least $100,000 liquid cash ready to invest, and you're looking for a halal opportunity managed by practicing brothers with a very strong track record and of course a very high return on investment, then I've got something for you. Myself and Imran have partnered up with brother Sam Amin for a real estate development project here in Dubai. Well, I'm in Sharjah right now, but in Dubai down the road. I mean, to keep it short and simple, we're buying land, building an apartment development on top, and then we're going to sell it. But we're giving you guys the exclusive opportunity to invest in this project. You can expect around 50% returns in just 2 years. These are unheard of because where regular developers will just go to their bank and get a riba-based loan, we can't do that. We have to put up our own money. And if it's not enough, we reach out to other Muslim investors interested in being a part of this journey. So if you're interested in that, there'll be a link in the description down below. You can book a call with Brother Sam, go through all of the documentation, all of the projections, everything you could possibly want is on the website. And then, of course, you can book a call with Brother Sam. With that said, let's get back into the episode. So, Mohammed, out of the car, into the podcast video.
Yeah.
Let's start with the first question that I asked each and every single guest. When did the idea of leaving the UK and moving to a Muslim country first come into your mind?
So you might see me like refer to my notes a little bit because I've spent a lot of time thinking about these questions. I want to try to give as much value for teachers because these are the things that a lot of the teachers ask me anyway. And therefore, I want to make sure I've not missed anything out.
I would expect nothing less from a teacher.
So the first the first thing is being a teacher, and if you're a teacher listening to this, you'll understand that the way the British curriculum is geared, as a teacher, we don't have much say on what we're teaching our kids. And as a Muslim, you know, there are certain values that resonate with who we are as a Muslim, and there's things that we don't really believe in. Being a Muslim teacher, you're telling me that, look, I have to teach these subjects. I don't really believe in them because, for whatever reason, you don't need to justify yourself. But then now I've got to teach my own students. Or, worse, my own kids are in primary. They don't even understand anything. Like, they're just having fun. But we're sitting them down and teaching them.
For example, what are some of the
so
stuff?
let's say, for example, there's some families with 2 dads, and some families 2 mums. You know, and Issa's coming home and he's confused already. Anyway, he doesn't really need to think about things like that. He's never thought about that. He's just playing. Oh, you know, and one day we were just talking about the story of Adam alayhi salam and Hawa. And he said, oh yeah, but Dad, you know, sometimes some families can have 2 mums, you know. I was like, okay, where'd you learn that? And he said, oh, we read this book in school and this was it about. I said, oh, okay, cool. I said, yeah, look, some families are like that. But obviously I didn't really know how to phrase it. Now, I'll give a disclaimer here.
I just said, yeah, some families have second wives.
Yeah.
Some families have 2 mums that way.
So the disclaimer here is like, look, I've been brought up in the UK. We've both been brought up in the UK. We know people of different faiths, different religions, different ways of thinking, and they've chosen to live their lives in different ways. So we know that, look, what diversity is, and we can we'll accept people who they are. But if you tell me what my religion believes or what I personally believe, I have to be straight up. I'm not going to beat around the bush here. My biggest issue here is that I want to teach my child at a time when I feel it's appropriate for him. So if he's 8 years old and he's not even thinking about that, why am I putting things into his head he's not even thinking about? Do you understand? I will dictate what age is right, because he will grow up in the UK one day and he'll need to know, look, yeah, not everyone lives the life that we live. There'll be other religions, other ways of thinking. And that's cool. That's the way they want to live their life. But if you ask me, look, as a Muslim, what do you believe? You have to be straightforward. We don't apologize for our religion. My only qualm is that I want to be able to dictate the age at when he gets exposed to that. And that's the biggest issue. As a teacher, we don't get that. You know, we can't even opt out after a certain age. A lot of parents they're not informed enough. There were times where the government was actually like
working with parents,
but also like there's like before they put out a law, they try to get surveys from like the country, like what do parents think, and you can go online and vote, etc. Like, we're not switched on as a Muslim community. We're not really switched on, and therefore when that happened, no one really responded. Only after the laws came into place, then everyone started kicking off, and they were doing like, you know, and they weren't doing it in the most, you know, appropriate way, but they were trying to do like petitions outside the schools, etc. But like 2-3 years ago, when we were talking about it, where were you at that time? Anyway, so that's one of the reasons where, look, I want to be able to dictate when my child learns about it and how they learn about it, you know? And that doesn't mean that, look, I'm going to raise him to discriminate people that believe in different things or choose to live their life in a different way. You know, as a Muslim, we're not taught to treat people like that. We don't discriminate. We don't hate against people. Do you understand? And therefore, that's the line that we need to understand, where it doesn't mean that, you know, we're hating against people. It's just that as a parent, that's my child. I get to dictate that. And just because I choose something different than you do doesn't mean that, you know, I hate you. It's just, that's my child. The biggest thing for me was we needed to move. We need to move ASAP. And that's one of the reasons why we came to a Muslim country. And we talked about this before as well, that here, we don't have to worry about that. It's a Muslim country. No matter what people say, the curriculum, you will get fined if you talk about the LGBTQ agenda, for example. The schools will get fined. You know, so we don't teach that in our curriculum. If parents that are not Muslim choose to educate them at home, that's a separate issue. You do your thing, but in school you're not. So we don't have to worry about that. That was one of the biggest issues. The second issue then would have been, it's a Muslim country, and we've talked about this before, where I want to be in a country where it's next to impossible for me to miss my salah. Wherever we are, there will be a masjid within walking distance. And I want my child to be in a country where, like, he's encapsulated by Islam. Everything is about Islam here. You are not out of the ordinary here. And I remember traveling in the UK, we were doing like staycations, and we couldn't find a place to pray Jummah. We had to travel like 45 minutes. Or we were trying to pray outside on the streets, and obviously people giving us like weird looks. And it's not even their fault. They just don't know about Islam. They're not exposed to it, you know. And some people will discriminate and hate, but most won't. They just don't know. I don't want him to feel like I'm a bit weird because, you know, people are looking at me in a weird way, or I've walked into the toilet and they've seen my foot in the sink. Do you understand? So in a Muslim country, we don't have to worry about that. We don't have to worry about, oh, do you have your HMC certificate, or can I see your halal certification? We're eating wherever we want. We don't have to worry. So in the UK, we went back last year, and we went to a restaurant, and then we just sat down and we just started ordering. And then for Isa, he was like, "Hey, he's ordering this and that," and we forgot to ask, "Oh, are you halal certified?" Because we don't even think about it anymore. And for Isa, he was like, "What do you mean halal certified?" He was asking all these questions. He was confused because we've never done that before. And even though he was with us in the UK, he probably just doesn't remember that we have to qualify, find out, it is halal. Yeah, all right, cool. And then it's like certain things like that. It just makes life a lot easier. There's good wudu facilities here, and maybe it's not even an Islamic country, but here, one of the biggest things for me is that every toilet you'll find is clean. There's usually like a brother there, and whatever happens, he'll make sure that everything's clean. There's toilet roll there. Like, toilet roll is like an amenity in the UK, man. If you find a public toilet with a toilet roll in there, like, you count yourself lucky. Here, like, this is why Isa, we'll go to the mall, and this guy is going crazy on the tissue. I was like, relax, you only need 2 or 3, because for him, he didn't think twice. I said, look, in the UK, there'll be places where you won't even find toilets, or you won't find the facilities you need, so we'd be grateful and just use what we need, and it might seem minor for a lot of people, but for us, alhamdulillah, that's a big difference. And then the last one was the quality of life. So as everyone knows, we don't get taxed here. And therefore you get to take home a lot more. And you don't realize, but if you look at your paycheck, you'll see what you are meant to get, or your gross, and then what you actually get. And then it'll be divvied up between like different things like income tax or NI insurance or whatever else it might be. And you get like a percentage of that. And then the more you earn, the more you get taxed here. It's a lot easier for you to save. And as well as have a good life. So for example, like, there's more options for the kids. Like, obviously we were in a smaller place called Leicester. There's only a few places you can take the kids. Whereas here, the world's your oyster. You can go anywhere. And for us, like, we like going to the beach. So we'll go to the beach whenever we want, close to nature, etc. Or we want to go to the mall, we can pop in there. There's just options.
There's new things that pop up all the time.
All the time. Like today, just before this, we went to an LGBTQ mall, and they made that within, like, I'd say less than a year. And it's an amazing mall. And there's like, there's a play area, there's like rides in there. Like, I think my family come from the UK. They're just baffled that there's literally theme park rides within the mall. And it's just a normal thing for us, and the kids actually love it. They love it. So there's more options. Like, we can take the kids where we want, but also we don't want to always take them. Like, now it's hot, so we'll go to the malls, but when it's cooler, we'll go to Hatta, or we'll go to Al Ain, or we'll go to Ras Al Khaimah, Sharjah, and we'll just spend time out. The weather's amazing. And for me, I would say that's probably one of the biggest reasons, because I find that my mood is dictated by the weather. So in the UK, if it's cold, you're going to be grumpy. Like, for me, it's just a bit more so. I don't want to go out, and the kids want to go somewhere. I said, nah, I'll just stay at home because it's just too cold. You guys go. But when I'm here, it's always sunny. It just does something to me, man. It might just be like a placebo effect, but when it's sunny outside, even if it's summer, let's go. Where you want to go? Let's go for a swim, man. Wicked, nice and cool. So weather plays a big part for me. Whereas in the UK, your plans for the day is dictated by the weather of that day.
So how many years ago was this when you said that you were thinking about your son and teaching?
So when Isa was first born.
How old is Isa now?
Isa is 8 now.
So this was 8 years ago?
Yeah, about 8 years ago. And I mentioned in the car as well, is that I misread the contract, and therefore I declined the offer. And then that led me to stay in the UK for another 5 years. And now it's been 3 years since we've been here. So we've been here for 3 years. So those are the 3 main reasons why. The last one is just the community of people you can find here. Number one, I feel like because everyone's away from their own families, they feel like they need to be more of the family, or more like family with the people here. So you tend to go out your way a lot more for people that you find that, oh, he's from the UK. Okay, let's make sure we remember how we felt when we came here. Let's try to make them feel a bit more at home. But also the mindset of the people are different as well. Everyone's got a growth mindset here. Everyone is like, here you find the circles, you talk less about people. You're talking more about events and ideas. And
wow.
And the circle I'm in. And there's a quote from Denzel Washington. It says, average minds talk about people, or great minds talk about events, and excellent minds talk about ideas. And here you find the latter in abundance here. if you're in the right circles, you'll find very little that they don't really care about what other person he or she is doing. Or what ideas you're on. What books have you read today? You heard this hadith here. Yeah, think about that. Like you're thinking more about ideas. And I want my kids to be around that kind of environment as well. And the mindset of the people is probably one of the biggest changes you'd find here.
What would you say you were most worried about before you made the move? So when you were weighing it up, thinking about it, pondering, doing shura, doing istikhara, what were your biggest concerns?
Biggest concerns was probably family. Like, I am close to my family, but in my mind, I know, like we mentioned, is that, look, I am the caretaker of my family. So whatever happens to them in the future, I'm responsible. And therefore, even though it's a tough decision, I need to look out for what is in the best interest of my family. And for everyone, that might be different. And for me, I had friends that were already in the Middle East. And I lived in Saudi for a few years before anyway. I did the Celta and I taught before I even got married. I know what life's like there. So I had some idea and always said I want to move abroad. But because I had friends already here and they've been established, they said, look, you need to come. We went there to visit on holiday, looked at the different, not as a tourist, we went there as if we were going to live there.
Out.
Went to the area that he lives in. We talked to them about schooling. We talked to them about the challenges there. And I said, look, whatever happens, we're doing it for a year. Like, regardless of what you say, we're going. If after a year we feel like it's not for us, then khair, we'll come back. But we're doing it for a year anyway. And that was 2 years ago. And like I said, my wife is very, very attached to her family. Alhamdulillah, amazing family that she has. But we had to make that sacrifice. And it was a big sacrifice. And even today, there'll be times where I will think, my kids may not have a bond with their grandparents or their uncles and aunts. We go back and we call on FaceTime and we go back every summer. But it won't be the same.
Mm.
And you'll see in the groups that, they're meeting out now. Or Eid Day, they're doing it together. You feel that in your heart sometimes as well. And, you do. And that's probably the toughest thing. And that was what I was worried about the most. And I was right to be worried about that because that's some of the things that sometimes I do think about. And to be fair, it's probably what's made me so much more driven because I want to be in a situation where I'm working for myself. I have enough disposable income that when it comes to Eid, let's just go back. We don't need to worry about the flights. Let's just go.
Mm.
We'll go there and back whenever we want. And that would be ideal. And also be in a position where, look, mum and dad, you can come for a few months, come over here for 6 months. So my siblings want to come, let's go. Come over here, we've got enough space. And that's the goal. So I'm trying to, that is the only concern I have, and I'm trying to do things to try to alleviate that concern or shorten that gap of worry.
So you mentioned that your siblings are also teachers.
Correct.
So
yeah.
have any of them considered making the move?
I'm trying to convince them. I'm trying to convince them. So that I think sometimes they just, obviously they're happy where they are.
Mm.
And Leicester itself is a good community. There is an Islamic atmosphere there. To be fair to that community, there's mosques everywhere that you go. So in that way, I can understand that the need for them to move may not be as pressing as maybe if they were somewhere else in the UK. But nonetheless, I'm still going to convince them. Whenever they come here, I make sure I go all out. Even though maybe day to day won't really do some of the things, I say, yeah, let's go here. In the evening, let's go here. Because then they see, look, this is potentially what it could be like. And they know that before, like even my mum, she was worried about when we moved here. But as soon as my in-laws, they were worried about when we came here. And the first time they came to visit, and I didn't expect them to say this, I'm glad you moved. This was the right decision for you. Even though they were the ones where they were probably the most worried about us moving here.
For me, it was the exact same.
Yeah.
My in-laws were very worried and they were concerned. Yeah. What's it going to be like? So it's so far away. And,
yeah.
But then when they came out here and they saw us and we got back, alhamdulillah, really happy that you guys made the move. Exactly, literally, as you said it word for word, exactly the same.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah. What are some of the things you wish you knew before you moved as a teacher specifically?
Okay, so I won't go through like applying for jobs and stuff just yet. I think maybe we can cover that later. Yeah. I mentioned some of this, so it might be a little bit of a repeat when it comes to what's said in the car. So, but what I would say first and foremost is make sure when you leave the UK, you do it in a proper manner. So, for example, for me, just so it's less headache, because you're not in the UK when there's issues arise, you're not there to deal with it. So, for example, I would just let the government know you're going. In terms of if you've got like a student loan, or for tax purposes, etc., I'll just say, look, I'm going.
How do you go about?
If you just go on the government website or you just do a simple Google search, it's quite intuitive. You'll find your way around there.
Okay.
So in terms of if you do have student loans, for example, then you'll just pay like a monthly fee, wherever it is. If you signed a contract that you're going to pay it, you'll just pay whatever you want, whatever they've agreed to. One thing I would always do is pay your NI insurance. That means that if I ever come back, and the reason why I say this is that my third baby, we weren't expecting for a third. And obviously there were some complications and we had to go back to the UK. And because we paid our NI insurance, and it's a nominal amount, to be honest, like £150, £200 a year or something, we don't have to really worry. Even though they probably won't ask questions, in my own heart, I thought, look, even for NHS, I make sure I pay my whatever payment they ask from me. So when my wife goes into the hospital, we don't have to get any questions. Because you're a British citizen, even if you want to have paid anything, they'll still take you on anyway. They'll just ask less questions. That's all it is. So for me, those are the things where I'll try to make sure that that's done. And it's usually a nominal amount anyway. And if you look at the amount of tax you were paying to what you have to give now, it's pennies. And that's just for my own conscience. Just like if I ever was to come back, I know that, look, I've used the services for a number of years, so I need some giving back in my own way. That's one of the other things that I would do. Some of the things I wish I'd known, and we mentioned this, there's early starts here. So you just got to be aware that there are early starts. The first year is the most difficult, and you'll probably spend a lot more in the first year as well. And there's little things that usually like you'll get hit with a few fines at the start because you're just not used to how it works, or you might not be using the right applications, or if you move to like Abu Dhabi, for example, the number that you see, that's the max. Whereas in Dubai, the number you see, you're allowed 20 kilometers higher, for example. Yeah. And these things that you think you take for granted, but you don't know. Also, they're quite on it when it comes to paying for your parking. So make sure that you've got the app ready, you've got your Islamic stuff, like little things you get hit with for the first time, and this will contribute. But then you're furnishing your home, that takes a bit of expenses. When you're renting out, you pay a deposit. First year, if you feel like you break even, that's completely normal because everyone does that. But that's what we were stressing. I was like, got my Excel sheet out, and why are we breaking even? And then in the second, third year, it will go to green, inshallah.
Was there ever a moment where you felt like maybe a bit of more than I can chew? This is the wrong decision.
It was the first week. It was literally the first week. And I remember I was sat in an Airbnb and the kids are eating, I'm eating, our suitcase is not unpacked yet fully. Because like literally the day I came and then the next day I had to go to work. And I was just like, I don't know why. I think sometimes when you come out your comfort zone, you tend to, you try to second guess yourself, 100%. And I said, did we make the right decision? Shall we go back? Because everything's there. Like we can literally go back, if you wanted to. And then we slept on it. The next day we met a few friends. Families got together, had a good time. And then we did the same for a few days. And then within about 4 months, we were there. The biggest struggle for me was Issa going to a new school. And I never had to do that before. So usually it was the missus that took the kids to school. And if they were finding school at the start a bit difficult, they saw the tears. And for me, I was the one that had to drop Issa to that school. And I had to watch him go in the class. And the first few days was a bit tough. But, and therefore it made me think that maybe I should have just stayed back. But, you just got to trust the process. You have to trust the process. Say to yourself, after a year, if you still don't like it, then go back. But you have to go all in. If you're already half-hearted the whole year, there's no point. You have to give everything and go out and meet people. So many people will stay in their own bubble, wife and the kids, and they'll just go out together themselves. Any opportunity to network or meet other families, now I'm busy. It's not. Just give them a chance because you won't know. I've met some of the most amazing people that I would never have even had a chance to meet if I just didn't take a chance. If I was too scared and I talked myself out of it, which many a times I nearly did, I wouldn't be in that position and maybe I'd be back in the UK. So you got to take a chance. You have to network here. You need to meet people because human beings are social creatures. We need to converse with people. We need to speak to other people, share ideas. We're a social species. We need to be able to talk to people. If you stay in your own bubble, you're not giving Dubai a fair chance, or the UAE, wherever you decide to go.
Have you ever considered any of the other Emirates? You mentioned that you've been to Sharjah.
Yeah. So we love Sharjah. My family, we love Sharjah. We go there a lot. Just because of the distance, we probably would go even more if we could. So there's this spot there's this, and I don't want to it might just get really, really busy after this. But there's Al Khan Beach, and we really love that. The reason why we like that is, as teachers as well, is literally 5 minutes from there is an aquarium, and there is a maritime museum there. And it's really cheap anyway, but both are amazing for what you get. Wow. Yeah. And they're all 5 minutes apart. So we would go to the aquarium. If you buy the ticket for the aquarium, you get the museum for free. And personally, I love the museum even more because it takes you back to what Sharjah was like maybe 100 years ago. So how did they earn their wealth? They were pearl diving, what the boats looked like. What was Sharjah like at that time? Where did they get the money from before the oil came? And just to really be immersed in that culture, you think, wow, man, this is how people used to live. This is what the food that they ate. They lived in tents, except these are some of the customs, the cultures. And then we go to the aquarium. The kids love the aquarium there as well. And then we'll pop into the beach and we'll spend the day there and just relax. And they've got facilities there. That's the best mosque I've found in Sharjah is there. And the reason why I say that is it's such a simple, it's like this.
It's the one that's on the beach.
That's it. Yeah. And they've changed it now because I went recently, but they used to have a prayer mat literally out in front of the mosque. And when you're looking up, it's just the beach. So when you're praying salah, you can hear the waves. Yeah. And even though it doesn't look great, it's just, you just feel peaceful. Yes. And that's why I say it's the best, because it's just you'll pray salah there and you just feel you just want to sit and chill. And the kids are just playing. And when you're even when I'm trying to focus on something, I'll usually have the rain or the waves as background sound. And therefore when you're praying salah there, it's just amazing. And then obviously the beach is just there. You spend the day there. For those of you that like it, they've got a little beach swing that goes into the water, so you can just chill in there. And the kids love that anyway, and they'll just jump off that. But so yeah, that's a secret.
Would you ever consider moving out there?
Yeah, 100%. I think it is a bit more cost effective, but it's not just that. It's a simpler life there. It's a bit more conservative. As many schools. There's not as many schools. That's the thing. And I'll be fair, I've not done it justice where I've not looked in depth. But there are schools there, I'm sure. And therefore, if there's a community that we like, there must be some sort of school there. It's just that whenever I've looked for jobs, I've always looked for in Dubai. So maybe once I get more experience, or my long-term goal is to set up my own school, it'd be there, inshallah. Be there. But yeah, Sharjah is amazing. But in winter, as teachers, we get 3 full weeks off. And that's one big difference. You asked me in the car, difference in holidays. In the UK, you only get 2 weeks. Here, for winter, you get 3 weeks. So you get a significant portion. It's an extra week. And we went through all the Emirates. So we went one day with Al Ain. We spent the day there, went up there's a mountain there. Went to Ras Al Khaimah one day. Went to Sharjah one day. We went to there's this waterfall something in Sharjah.
Kalba.
Yeah, there. We went there one day. But it's amazing, so many different places, and most of it is just no one's there. And as the kids go older, I'm excited to do hiking because there's so many hiking paths. I want them to take them out with nature. Hatta is good as well. Yeah. There's so many places. It's not just Dubai. Yeah, man. There's so many places. It's not just Dubai. Yeah.
What made you choose the UAE as a whole, as opposed to, for example, you mentioned when you were younger, you were in Saudi Arabia for a while. I would assume there's teaching opportunities in places like Malaysia, Indonesia, Turkey, and all these other Muslim countries. Why did you choose?
So Malaysia, we had to, I have family that were living there for a while, and it's an amazing place. It's just too far from family. If I want to get back to the UK, it's about 14 hours. Whereas Dubai is 7, so it's not that bad. So that was probably one of the reasons why. And you usually get pretty much the same, from my understanding. Maybe when the kids are older and it's just me and my wife, then we might go out there for a couple of years and just see how life's like. And if the kids doing their own thing, we'll go there. Saudi, I worked there for a while, and it's pretty much the same. But when I was there, and bear in mind this might have changed now, so the medical wasn't as great there. So in terms of the hospitals, the quality of healthcare wasn't great. So if I had a family, had kids, I wasn't that confident. The roads were very dangerous there at the time. So we used to see a lot of car accidents there. And that got me a little bit worried. As long as you drive safe, you're okay. But if you've got kids in the car, it's just a different dynamic. If I don't need to put them in that danger, then I wouldn't. And they may change now, to be fair. Like I said, it was 10 years ago plus. And the schooling system wasn't the same as well. So I feel like the quality of education wasn't there. Those were some of the reasons. The only reason why I would have still like negate all of those, it was just because we used to live in Dammam, which is on the other side. But every month we used to be able to go to Makkah Medina all the time, like whenever we wanted to. And it may have changed now, but the pricing of the flights, regardless of when you went and the timing, they weren't flexible price. It was the same price whenever you went. So it's like really cheap. It was like 80, the currency of riyals there, and 80 riyals back. So me and obviously we were
less than £20.
Yeah, we used to go there and back. So we used to go. Once we did a really good road trip. We just drove from where we were all the way there. We got like a 8-seater and everyone had hands driving. It took like 12 hours. We didn't even have a hotel. We rocked up, parked a car, did an Umrah. Then we just went to different hotels. And they asked, do you have space? And we found like this really cheap place, like 8 beds in one room, leaking AC. And bro, it was one of the best times in my life. Like when I went for Umrah that time, I don't feel like I've felt more spiritually connected because my brothers were there. And we were driving there, we were talking about Islam and Deen, having a good laugh as well, all that halal banter. We got there and we were still young in it, so we were like, yeah, I want to do 4 Umrahs. And we were there for like one night. I don't care, we're just going to do back to back. We just did bare Umrahs, and we were like, it was amazing. And then we barely slept in that room. We just put our bags there. That's what it was. Had a couple hours nap and then we were just there. So that was one of the things that I wish maybe I'd go back. Probably it's changed now. But because I chose UAE because I had friends living here already, and I felt it was somewhere in the middle where Islamic environment, but the quality of education is good, healthcare is great, and there's things for kids to do.
Was English, in terms of the language, widespread in Dammam when you were living? Would it have been an issue?
Not really. People working in restaurants, etc., they knew English. The locals, not so much. The youngsters, a bit more, but it's a lot easier here. But like I said, like just the disclaimer is I'm giving a review of Saudi 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing, and I know friends that still work there now, it's probably significantly been advanced in there.
So you mentioned that the healthcare here was better.
Yep.
What's your experience been in the 3 years you've been living here in terms of like, what would you say is the most severest thing that you've had to go to the hospital for? How was your experience? What was the waiting time like? Did you have to pay out of pocket?
So in terms of healthcare, what I would say is I'm the type of guy that like I will never ever go to the hospital if I can help it.
I'm the same.
But there's actually legitimate in the UK. It's just like you can ride it out. And after like let's say 1 week, 2 weeks, there's still something's there. All right, cool. We'll go and see what's going on. Yeah. But if something's not broken, they won't go.
Just let your own body.
Yeah, exactly. And this is always a cause of tension at home because like, oh, I fell, and I was like, no, it's okay. It's cool. Like, but the problem here is that when they fall off the bed here, they're falling on marble. So I'll show you pictures later of Adam. He's got this massive bump on his head. And I just thought, no, it's cool, man. Just put him to bed. Put some Vicks on.
Adam is your second
one, yeah. So they were fighting and then he fell and hit the marble and it had this big bruise. Whereas in the UK, you'd fall on carpet, it's calm.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I was like, look, it's okay. Alhamdulillah, it was okay. So for the kids, there was nothing. Very rarely went and taken them there. Very rarely. You have to for the baby, like there's certain jabs that you've got to do. So we went in for the vaccinations and stuff like that you got to do here. But not as much as in the UK. However, the most severest is when we were expecting our third. There's this condition called hypermesis where your body is just not taking in anything. And she was throwing up constantly and literally like, at one point, I thought that she's not even going to survive the pregnancy. It was that bad. And for the first 2, it wasn't the case. I should have realized that it was a girl because it's something different, right? For the boys, everything was cool. Like maybe a bit of moon sickness is calm. So I was like, okay, look. So even for me, I was like, something's not right because you're actually growing a baby, but you're losing so much weight. There's something wrong here. Yeah. So even for me, I was like, all right, cool. We got to go to doctors. At that time, we didn't have health insurance because she wasn't working. Because I was like, you know what, health insurance is expensive. We don't need it right now. And I made that mistake. So we had to pay out of pocket. It wasn't a significant amount, to be honest. How much? I'd say about £1.5 we had to pay.
Dirhams?
Pounds. Yeah. For a couple of days. Yeah. So it was, I don't know, depending on what you think it was. But the quality of care was amazing. We went to Latif Hospital and they were great. But the thing I will tell parents here is here.
When you say £1,000, because people might think, wait, they just went to see the doctor and they paid £1,000.
So we were there and they were there for a night as well.
Okay.
And they did a few IV drips and stuff to replenish the nutrients and stuff like that. And then we went out after a day. So yeah, it was about 2 days worth. But the reason why I'm always like hesitant, especially here, is because this is a healthcare here is private.
For profit.
They're running for profit. And therefore, what happens is they will try to subscribe you with as many as you can, because then they can take that off the insurance. And that's why you need to find the right doctor, someone you trust, someone that's not going to just prescribe you something for the sake of it. And that's why I don't know. I feel like I'm in the dark here where, is this actually legitimate? And there's obviously a worry in my mind. So maybe it is legitimate. I'm just saying no because I'm paranoid. And that's one of the concerns I have here. But more often than not, like, I think we'll be fine. Like, we try not to go there as much as we can, unless it's like a severe issue. Then cool, we'll go there. But we've not used it as much. And now that school pays for everything anyway. So for both of our sakes, alhamdulillah, my school has very good healthcare. But we've not had to use it at all, to be honest. Yeah.
May Allah keep you and your family safeguarded and in the best of health and iman, inshallah. Okay, cool. Let's now come into some of the more technical stuff, teacher related, inshallah. What are some of the specific things when it comes to applying for jobs that teachers should keep in mind when they're looking in the GCC? Okay, cool. So let's start from the start where you're actually applying for jobs. So in terms of qualifications, degree, teaching training, qualification ideally, and then 2 years of experience. And then you're technically counted as a qualified teacher at that time. There's something called an ECT. Teachers will know what that means. That's when you're a teacher in training. Once you do 2 years of that and they've signed off, then you're a qualified teacher. So the reason why it's important is you can get a job before that, you just get a better package. So you're starting off in a stronger position when you come here. If you can't wait and you're raring to go, do your PGC and then come. And then you can do your training here if you wish. So now you're applying for jobs here. So there's 2 job platforms which I recommend. LinkedIn, make a LinkedIn profile, be active on there. Recruiters do look at LinkedIn just to see, okay, what's he on? Does he take his job seriously? And Test Jobs is probably the most used platform as well. I'd say to teachers, it's a numbers game. You got to keep applying for jobs every day, 5, 10. Check the criteria, make sure you meet that criteria, because if you don't, you're wasting your time. And don't send generic job applications. Don't send generic job applications. What I mean by that is, number 1, check the criteria. If you meet the criteria, then you apply. If it says 2 years experience and you don't have it, they're going to throw your CV away. They've got AI now that they look through it. And if you don't have certain words, they're not even going to look at it. So you're wasting your time. Once you find a job that you feel like, okay, you're teaching the right subject, you meet the criteria, apply for it. But this is why, make yourself personalize every single application. And now we've got AI, you can do that. So this is what I'd recommend. So for example, with your CV, what I would do with ChatGPT is you attach the document of the job spec of that school onto your prompt and then you attach your CV and then you say, okay, amend my CV so it uses the keywords from the job spec in my CV. Yeah, because that's going to help you. So if they use specific wording and they do that on purpose, your CV is catered. You're not changing you're not lying, you're just using different words. And therefore it makes your CV stand out, because then the person that's recruiting says, this guy looked at the job spec and now his CV, this responsibility, just change the wording around. And therefore you have done everything you've said you've done. You've just used the wording a little bit differently, which is fine. I would always do a cover letter as well. And with the cover letter, what you do is on ChatGPT or any other AI platform, you paste the website of the job the school you're applying for. You paste the vision, mission, and values on there as well. And then you tell ChatGPT, using my CV, using the information on the website, using the vision, mission, and values of the school, create a cover letter that lends itself to this job. And therefore, you are showing you've read the vision of the school, the mission, the values, and you just stand out. And then before, I used to do this anyway, before ChatGPT. And so many people have said, look, it stands out because they said you've watched it. Now it just makes life a lot easier. So maybe something that takes you an hour takes you maybe 10 minutes. But it still takes you time. And make sure, as always, to read through it and make sure that, it does make sense. And therefore you tailor every job and every cover letter. And you are increasing your likelihood of getting a job significantly higher. If you just pressed, like, on some websites, you can just say, send CV, and you just press one button, it's done. It's a generated CV, and the likelihood is hundreds of people apply, and therefore you're not going to stand out. So how many applications would you say you sent before you got?
About 150.
Wow.
And I went outside, like UAE. It was full UAE, not just Abu Dhabi, anywhere. Get your foot in the door. And that's one thing I'll tell teachers as well. Some teachers, they want to come in and they want to be in the best package ever, the type of job they're teaching, the type of class they want, like maybe GCSE or A-level straight away. They want everything. The likelihood is that even though I wouldn't say it's a saturated market, once you are here, it's so much easier for you to move. So get your foot in the door, work for a school for a year or two, see if you like the country, add value to that school, and then you can look to move, But the problem is some teachers, they just want the best package, and therefore they'll probably end up staying in the UK for another 5 years, whereas they could have come here, get a better salary anyway, and then within those 5 years be in a much better position. So get your foot in the door. It's easier to move around when you're here. That's what I would say. So I applied for a lot.
How long did it take from when you first started applying to when you actually got the offer?
So as teachers, we need to make sure that we apply before a certain date. So it probably took me about 6 months.
Okay.
6 months. I did have people here that I knew, so they gave me a few tips and advice, etc. But me and my wife were both offered really good jobs in Abu Dhabi, and we declined it.
Why?
The reason is that, like I said, why we came here was for a reason. We wanted our kids to go to an Islamic school in Dubai. And therefore, to be fair, it was something that there was a bit of contention where we were thinking about it properly. And shall we take a really high paying job? It was like a lot better than where we were getting. Or work at a school where maybe the package isn't as good, but the kids will be in an Islamic atmosphere. And the values of the school was a bit more in line with what we want as well. But the salary is going to be a bit less. It'll be a bit of struggle the first year. And then after a while, we realized, it's just a no-brainer, Money is going to come anyway. So we took that job. We took that job in Dubai. Alhamdulillah, bro, it's the best decision ever. Like the people that I met in that school, amazing. Like even the principal at school, amazing. And yeah, maybe we would have earned more working in that school, but when's it going to come? Either way.
I find it, I'm just thinking all the comments, people just talk nonsense online. It's, people only go there for money. That's all people care about. You don't care about deen. Don't act like you care about deen. Hell, you got prime example.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, man. We're still getting paid. Yeah. But like, after a while, we have to realize, like, why are we coming here for? Because if it's just money, we can move elsewhere. Like, you can move in other countries and you'll get paid more. And now, alhamdulillah, man, like, we're settled. And yeah, man, like, I'll give an example. Like, last year we were driving back from school, and it's a bit of a drive because we were still in Town Square. And obviously we take our own kids, but some of our friends, their kids come in our car as well because we're in the same community. And on the way back, they were just reciting Quran. And we learned their last 10 surahs. And they love their Quran teachers, by the way. Here, like, their Quran teachers go all out, and may Allah reward them and increase them.
In the schools,
especially the school that they're in. And they always got sweets, and they've got these toys every day. And when they see them in school, like my son's he was quite reserved in the UK. He sees his teacher, he runs up to them and he's, Mr. this, Mrs. this, or like Muallima. And the teachers have so much love for the kids, man, especially like from the Islamic side of the curriculum. And we were driving back, they were saying Quran. And I spoke to him, I said, look, I don't think that Isa would have done this if he were in the UK. Because it's not just that, like before we were like kind of forcing it upon him. But here now, he just loves it because he loves the teacher and what the teacher is teaching him. It's easy. And yeah, they'll read the Quran because
the teachers himself probably getting paid a lot more than the madrasa imam is in the mosque. Probably gets paid pennies. Yeah. So for him, it's more enjoyable. He's got probably a budget to get things like toys and things.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And then they're like reciting like Arabic words. So he's like, when we read Quran, he's the one telling me, this word means this, dad. Or they're doing like a nursery rhyme on colours, for example, in an Arabic language. So yeah, definitely we would have regretted it if we went for the money. Because we tried to talk ourselves out of it, and it was an easy decision, let's be honest. But alhamdulillah, it was the right decision for us and our family. So yeah, get your foot in the door is what I'd say, and don't be too ambitious in terms of the package straight away. Get your foot in and then change around. The last thing is, for me, is if you know people here, it helps. Now, I'll give a little bit of a disclaimer. Like when people say, could you just, because we know the community now, we know people that work in different schools, they'll ask for referrals. And my referrals come in two ways. And I'm always quite upfront. So if I know there's a job opportunity open and a brother messages me that I don't know, say, look, can you recommend him for that job? I will recommend, of course. But I'll say, look, I don't know the brother, but he seems like he meets the qualifications, because I'll check his CV and say he does. And I'll just make that disclaimer. And that's one referral. And the other one is, if I've worked with someone for at least a year and I know that they give it 100, then that referral is different, where I'll go to someone and say, I've worked with him and I'm putting my credibility on the line, where he's going to give you, he's going to get value. You're going to get value out of him. And therefore whenever I do refer someone, then that my word is taken seriously. I think sometimes what can happen is we just recommend everyone, and you're doing injustice and there's this concept that I came across a while back, especially in teaching, and it's a concept in chess, and we think about who is the king. When it comes to like teaching, what I mean by that is, who is the most important stakeholder in a school? And as a leader, as a teacher, sometimes we forget that. And the most important stakeholder is the child, the student. That's who you should have the best interest for. So even if I'm recommending someone, I don't even know the guy, he could potentially be someone that maybe is still a bit inexperienced. Maybe he might not be right for the role. I'm doing a disservice to that student. Do you understand? Even as a leader, there'll be times where maybe something hasn't worked out, I've got to fire a teacher, And then, people will come, how can you do that? He's got a family here. I said, cool, he does, and I get that. But who's the king for me? The king in this game of chess, which is school, is the student. Have that person in your mind, always. So I would say in terms of referrals as well, it's that, look, if you know someone, they can actually get you an interview, then it's your job to do the rest.
What would you say are some of the cons of moving here?
Cons of moving here,
because we spoke a lot about the benefits. And,
of course, yeah.
Like,
so we mentioned early starts. We start very, very early here. So in the UK, you start school about 8:15. Here, I'm waking up and I'm waking the kids up by 5:30. Sometimes earlier, because if Fajr is at a certain time, there's no point going back to sleep. So it is early starts, and that's probably the single most thing that you're going to have to get used to. Outside of that, I would say, just like Ofsted in the UK, so teachers will know they're the governing body that come and ensure that the quality of education in the school is up to standard, and they grade you. And there's a bit of a rejig right now, so it's up in the air, but that's basically what they do. You have something similar, it's called the KHDA, so they'll come in, they'll observe your teaching, they'll come for 5 days. Sometimes that can be quite stressful, but if you've taught long enough, just do your thing, provide good quality education, you'll be absolutely fine. There's more observations here in the UK, so you'll have teachers coming in and checking your classes, because there's more accountability. So more people will be in your class making sure you're doing what you should be doing. And if you are a good teacher and you take your job seriously, there's no stress for you. If you are a teacher, maybe you're a bit more relaxed. You're there just to get a paycheck. Then maybe it will be a bit of a learning curve for you where, actually I have to work for my money. Yeah, you get paid more here, but you definitely have to work a lot harder as well. When people say, you're just coming in to get paid. Yeah, but you're working for that money as well.
What about some general cons? Like not just from angle of being a teacher, but general cons of living here compared to the UK. I think you mentioned some.
Yeah, so I mentioned family before. So family is the main thing, and we've touched upon that. The second, I'd say, is that in the UK, in Leicester, there's a very strong community in terms of madrasa. And for those that don't know, it's like you go to school, and then after school, you'll go and do evening classes where you learn Quran and Aqaid and fiqh and these kind of things. And it's a lot more structured in the UK, where they've been going on for so long and they know what they're doing. And that the level of tajweed they learn is the level that they need to recite the Quran, to give its rights to the Quran. Whereas here, you don't really get that. There are a few schools here and there. There's Syke in Dubai, which is like, I think it's Suqeim. That road somewhere is a bit of a distance from where we are. But outside of that, there's not many. And that's one of the challenges here. And therefore, if you feel as a parent that your Quran is not up to scratch and you can't teach your child yourself, then you can send them to schools around here, or you can do it online as well. And I would say that's one of the cons where, you don't have somewhere close by. Whereas in Leicester, maybe every other street, there'll be a mosque that you can send them to, and it's structured there. So those are probably the two, family and the Quran education. But luckily for us, we just had to supplement a little bit because they go to an Islamic school anyway. And whereas some schools may just tick boxes and just do a few classes here and there, they do a significant amount of hours learning Quran and Arabic. And therefore, I'm just supplementing and making sure that his tajweed is there, or just giving the extra one-to-one with him. So it just depends on what school you send your child as well.
From a teacher's perspective, behavior-wise, when it comes to the students, what would you say have been the key differences from your experience in the UK and here? Because I know, talk from my own experience, when I was younger, bro, we obviously because it's a state school, right? Public school, if you want to call it. But I remember getting to sometimes fights with the teachers. Sometimes, I remember one kid picked up a chair, threw it at a teacher in school, like art class and all this. So I find that, unfortunately, respect for teachers is a lot lower. Here, I've heard that you don't have those same behavioural issues, but you do get a lot of other issues from behaviour. I don't know the details.
100%. So you're not going to have a student throw a chair at you.
Okay.
Yeah. You're not going to have a kid like pull out a knife on another student here. Those kind of things, nothing like that. You won't get stuff like that. Not at all. Like even in non-Islamic schools, you won't get that kind of stuff. There's security at the gate. Every school you'll go to, you'll see security there. There's cameras everywhere as well outside school. And obviously it's every school knows that these are certain guidelines we have to adhere to. So even in the tougher schools where behavior is an issue, it will never be as bad as some of the schools in the UK. Yes, like let's say you're looking at inner city schools, it can be challenging. It will never be as bad. And therefore, this is why it's important to have experience as a teacher, because if you've already taught in tough schools, coming here is going to be a piece of cake. The more premium type of school you go to, the easier the behavior is. I feel like maybe in the more, the schools where they offer more of a basic package, behavior can be a challenge in schools. But with everything, it's not a challenge you can't overcome. Behavior management is an art of a teacher, and it's usually a bottleneck for a lot of kids, a lot of teachers. They need to just, like feedback loops, like brothers mentioned as well, is that you educate yourself, you try it in the classroom, and you keep trying again and again. Consistency, the same as parenting. You have to be consistent. These are going to be the rewards and sanctions, and you go ahead and. I find actually that teaching in a lot of schools where there's a lot of local students is that the parents used to be like old school parents in the UK, meaning that if you call home and say their child was disrespectful, they're getting beats that day. Yeah, they're getting beats, and they're very, very cultured. They're very in touch with their deen, and respect is a very big thing.
Especially for teachers.
Yeah,
teachers are
So
very high.
in the schools I teach at, we have a lot of local population, and parents. I've never come across a parent that's never been supportive. Rather, they are the ones that are thankful, saying thank you for calling, because now you're taking time out of your own day. You don't have to. You're calling the parent and saying, look, I'm a bit concerned about your son. Let's work together. And an old parent never going to say, oh, why'd you call me for? So I found that they're a lot more supportive. So yeah, behavior can be an issue. The more premium schools, the behavior is less of an issue. But no matter which school you go to, I'll say 99% of parents, local or not, they've got your back.
Is there much of a special needs education scene here? Is there much of like a
so
disability? In fact, not disability. Here they call it people of determination.
Correct. Yeah.
Do they have like facilities or opportunities for?
Yeah. So every school, part of the KHDA framework is they will have some sort of, like in most schools, you'll just find a whole department, SEND department, where there's the head of that department, and their job is to make sure that anyone that has any learning needs, that is being met. So the teachers themselves, or it depends on the severity, they may have a teaching assistant, and they'll have that one teaching assistant with that child for the whole day. The teachers are amending their lessons to ensure that this person can access the work as well. Yeah.
One question I want to ask, it's not really related to this, it came to my mind while you were talking.
Yeah.
You mentioned about using ChatGPT for your CV and cover letter and stuff like that. Now, in my mind, I don't know why I thought like teachers in my mind were like anti-ChatGPT because it's like all the students are using it. How are you seeing AI affecting education?
The kids are becoming a lot more reliant, and therefore, as teachers, we need to get on board, learn how it works, and then just get with the program. Because one way or another, there are times in the world, in history, where you're either on board or you're going to get left behind.
Like the internet, when the internet was introduced.
100%. And with AI, everyone's going on board anyway. So we might as well learn how to use it properly and use it to make yourself a better teacher, reduce admin tasks, the low-level tasks that AI can do for you. Why don't you let them do that? I firmly believe AI will never, ever be able to replace a teacher within the classroom, but it can go a long way to help you. So, for example, I can see AI as like a one-to-one learning assistant for every single student out there. So even though they're in the class with you, they can just go bounce ideas back and forth with AI. So yeah, I feel like especially the younger generation of teachers, they're more on board with teaching. But we don't want over-reliance. And we also know as teachers now, the skills they need now is going to be different because AI does a lot of the hard work, quote unquote. And therefore, they'll need different skills like soft skills, public speaking skills, communication skills, teamwork, being able to emotional intelligence, for example. These are things that they need to succeed in the world now. It's changed. We talked about this in a previous podcast where the curriculum was made to cater to the industrial age. When it first came out, that's what it was. They wanted to get the ideal worker, and therefore the skills that they learned then was different to the way it is now. And Albert Einstein said that if you judge a fish on its ability to climb a tree, it will live his whole life believing that it's stupid. And this is what we're doing to students, is that we're judging them on one sole indicator. How well can you memorize? That's what education system is today. And the likelihood is they'll memorize something a week before, and then as soon as the exam's done, they forgot. And then that child will think, I'm stupid for the rest of my life. That child's life, when the reality is not. You're just not good at memorizing. You might be creative, good at problem solving, decision making. Long story short, I think AI is here to stay. Teachers need to get on board and use it for the benefit of the education sector.
Are there any jobs in the education sector that you're aware of that don't require a degree?
No.
You have to have a degree.
More often than not. There may be like an odd exception here and there, but I've not heard of it.
But the PGCE, you're saying that you can
So you need a degree to do the PGCE.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because then they look at what degree you did and then they'll offer you a PGCE based on that.
Okay. Okay. If someone's watching this and they want to do Hijrah, would you recommend teaching as a route to go down it? Even let's say they're watching this now, they don't have a degree. So it's like, okay, cool. I'd have to spend 3 years, get a degree. I then have to do a 1 year PGCE and then 2 years of experience. So then 6 years down the line, they'd be making the move. Or would you say try and find a different way to go about it?
I would say go into teaching if you have a passion for it. It's not just, I want to move Hijrah, so I'm just going to jump on teaching, because it's unfair and it's a disservice to the student. And I think a lot of people have started to do that where, it just seems like an easy option. I've already got a degree, I just need a year, let me just go do it. I'm just ticking boxes.
I've heard people say that.
Yeah.
And I actually thought, wow, that's actually very clever. But now that you're mentioning it.
But think about it this way.
You're right. Who's the king?
Who's the king?
Who's the king? Wow.
Think about it this way, that would you want a teacher like yourself to be taught to your own student? Would you want, a teacher like yourself to be taught to your own children, or your child to have that kind of teacher? And the answer is no. And this is something I'll say, be the teacher you want for your own child. And I'll say that to every teacher. And most of them are not. We expect so much from our child's teacher, but we're not doing the same. As teachers, you want them to make sure you give challenge tasks, you're going out your way to mark, we're spending time making sure it's engaging. Look at your own lessons, is it the same? And more often than not, it's not. So be the teacher you want for your own child. And if you do have a passion, then go for it. But all these students in your class, that's someone's child in the day, right? And no teacher is perfect. Look, teaching is a hard job. And to teach 25, 26, 28 hours every day, not every lesson is going to be perfect. I get that. But
28 hours a day?
A week, sorry.
Oh,
a day.
So where are you getting these hours from, bro? You're not a maths teacher, right?
No. But it is hard. But you have to try to give it your all, as much as you can.
And if there is someone that's watching this that is a teacher currently in the UK and they've got the experience, they've got everything, and they're a little bit on the fence, what would you say to them?
Go for it. Drop me a message, I'll help you. And you won't regret it. Even if it's just a year, that year will be the best year of your life. 100. It will be amazing. Like, if you know you're coming for a year, just treat it as what it is then. Just have a good time. Do your job, fulfill your responsibilities, add value to your students. But outside of that, go out, man. Evenings, go JBR, wherever makes you happy. Go for staycations, have a good time. But I promise you, more often than not, you'll probably say, you know what, let me do one more. And another more. And I know guys have been here like 18 years.
It's just one more year. One more year.
Yeah, just give it a chance. And like you mentioned before, is that come out here for yourself, see what it's like, give it a genuine chance. And after a year, it's not for you, then let's go back and live your life. I know people that have come here for a year, it's not for them, went back, within a few months, they're back here.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And bro, it's not an easy task to close up in the UK and come here, then set up shop, and then close up again and come back. But think about that startup cost. They still thought it was worth for them to
It was
actually
worth
come
it
back.
for them to come back. And that's what I find. For a lot of people, you don't realize what you left until you go back after being here for a long time. And then you're just like, alhamdulillah, that was the best decision.
Yeah, 100%. One of the things that I think about is I don't want to be that guy who was born in Leicester, will stay in Leicester forever. I'll be part of that circle. That circle is the only thing I will ever know, and I will die in that circle. And the world is a big and beautiful place. And it is filled with, the miracles of Allah. We owe it a duty to explore the world. When you're in Dubai, you're in the middle of everywhere. It's so easy to get wherever you want. And you give yourself the opportunity as well. And don't get me wrong, like, there'll be people that live in Leicester, and that's what makes them happy. For me, I wanted a bit more. And this is a way for me to do that.
Perfect. Jazakallah khair. Any final comments, final remarks, final advices for the viewers that are watching?
I know we're running out of time. There was a lot of things I wanted to talk about. So I'll leave that for now. I will just say that when you do think about coming here, there's something called attestation where you have to do your documentation. And that can be a cumbersome process where you can choose to do it yourself and save a little bit, or you can pay for a company to do it. Even though it's a bit more expensive, it's like £90 per document if you do it yourself, 150 if you get a company to do it per document. But it's just save yourself the stress and pay that extra money, because you just have to do it once.
Documents being your
degree, your transcript, so that shows what subjects you did in uni, your PGCE, your birth certificate, marriage certificate. Those are the 5 main ones, and they'll ask you for like a police clearance check. So if you've got anything on your
like
record,
a DBS.
Yeah, it's unlikely you'll get your visa accepted. And this is probably how they make the country safe as well. They do that for everyone. So those are the things that just get that attested when you're in the UK, because we realize we have to attest our child's birth certificates when we're in UAE. Then it makes it a headache, because then I've got to send that document back, and then someone's got to run around the UK for me to do it, and it's just a headache. So just do that. That's probably something that I did miss out. Just get a company to do it, save the stress, focus on packing, and yeah, that's it.
All right, cool. We'll put you said that people can contact you if they need help.
Yeah.
LinkedIn would be the best place for that?
LinkedIn's fine. Insta's fine.
I'll also put the link for your podcast.
Yes.
People might not know that. And I wanted to actually discuss that, but we ran out of time.
No problem.
But you've started a Raising Humans podcast.
Yep.
So it's all about parenting and, within the Islamic framework. I've also been a guest on the podcast very recently. Alhamdulillah. It was a pleasure to be on there. So I would leave the links for that in the description. People can get in touch. People can subscribe, watch the content. And man, Jazakallah khair for coming on. Very beneficial.
All,
and hopefully it's a means for other people to be able to move to a Muslim country, land a job, and whatever other khair comes, may Allah put it on your scale of good deeds.
Ameen.
Barakallah feek. Subhanakallah wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant. Astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. See you guys on the next episode. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Actually, guys, we're back in the car. There were a few more things that we wanted to discuss. Also, I thought, you know what? Let's get an actual proper review of the car, which we'll come to in a second. But first, let's talk about after you've applied for a job, you've got an offer. What happens next?
So before the offer, you've got a job interview. And they said, look, this is the day, time, etc. First advice is that whenever you get an offer for an interview, take it. Because even if, for example, for some reason you choose not to take it, it's practice. The last thing you want is a job that you really, really want, but this is the first time you've done an interview for the last 3, 4, 5 years. And the likelihood is there's only a finite number of questions they're going to ask you. So for example, they'll ask you, why do you feel that you are someone that's qualified for the role? Simple question. Get yourself ready. And I always use like 3 bullet points, 3 things that I can say that applies to that question. Why do you want to apply to the school that you're applying for? Go through their website, look at their values, mission, vision, etc. Look at, and don't be fake, look at the actual website and look at the things that resonate with you, and then use that. If you could always put stories in there, stories always work well. If there's a story at a time where you displayed that value or something like that, then it's something that they will remember as well. Talk about why do you want to teach this job or this subject? Why do you have that? Why do you have that passion for that subject? That's another question. Another question I would say is, what does a good lesson look like to you? And then they may ask you, look, this is the things that you should be looking for, etc. You know how to answer. As a teacher, you should know what the answer is, or you can do enough research where you can find that answer. Other questions they'll ask is, within the classroom, how would you challenge the higher ability students? Or how would you ensure that you're catering to the needs of lower ability students or students that need a bit of extra help? Behaviour management is a big thing here as well. So they'll ask how do you contain behavior, or what's your behavior management philosophy? These are some of the things that they'll be looking for as well. Some of the things you may not expect is, for example, in the UAE and in the UK, what are the biggest differences in terms of education? What do you think are the differences? You need to do your research, speak to people that are already there as well, and they're going to give you that. How do you use data in a classroom setting? So how do you use that to inform your teaching? That's a good question as well. And outside of that, just do your research. But these are going to be the main questions that you should be expecting. And just do as many interviews as you can. That is one of the things I felt that I missed out. And one of the things that you need to make sure that you prepare for. Spend enough time preparing for your answers. Even if it is in front of a camera, plan your answer. Because you may be the best teacher, but you might not be good at interviews. And I've come across so many teachers like that. In the classroom, they're in the element, but you sit them in an interview and they crumble. Unfortunately, especially when they're in the UK, you're not going to be asked to teach a lesson because it's hard to do that. The only way they'll be able to judge you on your competence is the interview. And this is why it's even more important when you're applying abroad. Because usually in the UK, for those of you that don't know, is you'll get asked to teach a lesson and then you'll do an interview. So they can see you in the classroom and the interview, and there's more weight on the actual teaching lesson. Whereas you don't get that here, very unlikely, and therefore you need to make sure that your interview is on point. So that's just one thing I wanted to remind you guys, and put enough preparation into your interviews.
In terms of time frame, so because I would assume they only hire for the new calendar year, or for the new academic year, or is it that you can find jobs throughout the year?
That's a good question. So I would say there are 3 main times of the year where they'll apply for jobs. The first is at the start of the academic year. So the school year starts in August. So you'll find people applying a term before that. You'll find January starts, that's quite common as well, because people leave in winter. And then the most rare of the instances will be randomly throughout the year. And that's because maybe someone's left, something's happened, unexpected, and therefore. But usually the best time to apply is at the start of the year, because you don't want to come to a school where everyone's already halfway in, students are already in, and you're trying to find your feet. The best time for me personally is that you apply at the start of a new academic year. And therefore for you teachers, that you should apply in Jan and try to secure a job before Easter break.
You know what? Let's give the car a little go now. Yeah. So we'll put the car into Sport Plus mode. Give it a little pedal to the metal. You mentioned you're not much of a
I'm not.
petrol head, yeah. But does this trigger anything inside of you? When
I'm a little scared, man. Like everyone, all my friends say I'm like a Sunday morning driver. I like to just take my time, middle lane.
Park up here, bro. It's so good.
But I feel like I'm a motion gate.
For those who don't know, motion gate's a theme park here.
Yeah, amusement park, yeah.